Yes, good evening. I think we're live. You'll have to bear with us, everybody. We are trialing out a new software because StreamYard is down it's global. StreamYard is down globally. So we're on whatever this is that Perchy has convinced me is the right thing to do. Please join us. Oh.
I can hear someone.
That's me on my phone. Sorry, I'm just making sure it works. Big up to everybody. Hopefully everyone can see and smash the comment button. Thomas Frank has been announced as the new Tottenham manager. And it's like StreamYard has gone all Spursy. Right.
You're the other way round. You're mirrored, Savvy. Your picture's mirrored.
I hate it.
We're lucky we're even live. Savvy didn't know what he was doing 30 seconds ago.
Savvy doesn't know what he's doing right now, let alone, listen, it looks weird, doesn't it? How do I flip?
Check. Go into your settings, go into video, and click on the mirror camera, and then it will.
Oh yeah. Okay, I see it.
To the right. See yours. That's why you need a buzzer here. There you go.
There we are. We're back. We're back. This is fantastic. Hope everybody is well. Again, I'm so sorry. I literally turned around to the wife and said, any money, they announce it now. StreamYard's down. And then I get a WhatsApp going, it's done. Anyway, Tottenham Hotspur have officially announced that Thomas Frank is the new manager of Tottenham Hotspur. I will try and bring that up on screen in a minute. You'll have to bear with me, people. I am figuring out this as we go. But for you guys, and for me, and for Barry, and for Perchy, this is how we roll. We do what we need to do in moments of desperation. Hope you're all very well. Barry, let me come to you. It's done. It's done.
It's done. Quite frankly, it's done. Yeah. Look, I think it's probably the world's worst secret. And finally, they've announced it. I don't know what the delay was, but he's also going to be joined by Justin Cochran, the first team assistant coach, Chris Haslam, head of performance and first team assistant coach, Joe Newton, first team coach analysis from Brentford, with Andreas Georgeson arriving from Manchester United, who is allegedly a set piece coach.
Yeah. It's all going on. Sorry, by the way, I kind of need to ask Perchy a question. I just can't shamelessly ask him while we're live. I want to know how I can see the back of the YouTube studio to see the figures and the numbers and stuff.
I've watched everything as well. Hang on.
Do you know what I mean? This is all a bit mad. This is all crazy, but we're trying our best for you. Everybody, please bear with us. I don't think it's anything to do with being a boomer. It's to do with this is not the site I use. So apologies. This is not the site I use.
Sorry, say that again. Say that again, Sava.
What?
What did you say? Oh, you said so. You said my name, but the whole thing crashed on mine. I lost all sound.
I want to know, how can I see the YouTube studio for this? So, like, for example, big up to Andy Lester who's put in a super chat. How can I see the studio where these are rolling into?
Basically, he wants to be like Montgomery Burns in The Simpsons and just count his money.
YouTube studio. You need to just open your YouTube studio.
I've got it. We're in. Guys and girls, we're in. I'll tell you what, I'm an absolute genius when it comes to these sort of things. I've managed to sort it out.
You didn't see him panicking earlier trying to figure out how to load this thing up.
Big up for the Andy Lester. Thank you. I did ask somebody to just put in 99p to check that it worked. Big up, Andy. Guys, let's get to I'll tell you what, the comments come on by themselves. It's so strange. They're all coming up by themselves.
This is good. I like it. I like this.
This is weird. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? I feel, yes, it's like we've gone back in time.
Right.
But we're live. What more do people want? We are live.
Thomas Frank is our manager. Thomas Frank is our manager. Yes. Oh, what a day.
I'll tell you what. Let me here we go. I'm about to try something on the fly. And here we go. Let's share screen.
This is hilarious. This stream is amazing.
I'm loving it already. Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Okay. Okay, and hang on. We've got new people want to join. Look, new people want to join. All right, Dan, welcome to the future of streaming. Welcome.
Looks that way, doesn't it? Whole bloody
Mate,
system's down. It ain't just StreamYard. There's half the internet's down.
Yeah,
Mate,
it's Google Cloud's down.
That's right.
It's so blue on my screen at the moment. And then Dan's come in with his bright blue background. He's like, guys, let's have a look before we do anything else. Would we like to read more? We would. Welcome to Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank joins as head coach. We are delighted to announce the appointment of Thomas Frank as our new head coach on a contract that runs until 2028. Thomas has extensive experience in English football, joining Brentford in 2016. Since becoming one of the longest-serving current managers in the Premier League, during his time at Brentford, he has transformed the club, moving them from the Championship to an established Premier League side, consistently and significantly outperforming expectations on for an extended period of time. Bear with me 1 second. In Thomas, we are appointing one of the most progressive and innovative head coaches within the game. He has a proven track record in player and squad development, and we look forward to him leading the team. Yes, we bloody do, Spurs, as we prepare for the season ahead. Thomas will be joined from Brentford by Justin Cochrane as the first-team assistant coach, Chris Haslam, head of performance and first-team assistant coach, and Joe Newton, first-team coach analyst, with Andreas Georgeson arriving from Man United. He is the set-piece specialist, if I am not wrong.
Yes,
guys,
he is, yeah.
Girls, stop screen sharing. I like it. This is interesting. Hello. It's done. We can all just relax. Matty K can stop sending me 95 WhatsApps an hour asking me why it's not done. First thoughts on it. Dan, let me come to you. First thoughts. Thomas Frank, Spurs manager.
Like I've said, I get the picture why some people are thinking we're taking a step sideways, not necessarily a step forward as such, because of the history as such as the manager. But I think that's also down to a lot of people also because we've won the Europa Cup, actually think we're going to win a cup every season and that we've got the right to win the Champions League and that. No, we finished 17th. That Champions League bit is going to save us to an extent, but finishing 17th is going to do us more damage than that Champions League bit is going to do us good with players. They're going to look at us and go, 17th. I don't like that. And that's going to hold us back to an extent. I think we've made a sensible decision on the type of manager we've gone from, because we've gone from two managers that are so pragmatic to one that is, well, from one that plays 10 behind the ball to one that plays 10 in front of the bloody ball. And I think we've now got a logical manager who's proved several times he knows how to sort his team out in up to 3 or 4 different formations and change it in the middle of the game as well when needed. I think he's also got the capability to take it up to the next level. How far can he take us? The time will tell. But I think he will get a significant better team running out of what's already there than Ange could. I mean, Ange had to tell the players how to tell him how to play football in the end.
Absolutely. Never, ever want me in any sort of Stockley Park VAR room. I would not be able to cope with the number of things going on. Call me a boomer. By the way, there are some super chats. I need to find them because in StreamYard, I know where they're kept. In here, I'm like, huh? So let me see if I can find them as we go along. First of all, big up to... Oh, they don't stand out. Here we go. Oh, gosh. Here we go. Big up to Destiny 5, who's stuck in 99p. I need to reimburse you. I really, 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 really appreciate that. Thank you very much, my man. Appreciate that. Big up to Andy Lester, who's put in another super chat as well. Thank you very much, Andy. He's become a YouTube member as well lately. And please bear with me, guys. This isn't my normal setup. So this is, listen, we could have sacked it off, but hey, what a great day. Thomas the Frank engine, full steam ahead. Choo choo. Yeah, absolutely. Big up to each and every one of you. I'm so happy, guys. I'm so happy. I saw another super chat here. Big up Tony Rodriguez, who has said Fuck you and your bullshit excuses. Tony, every Spurs YouTuber I know is WhatsApping each other going, I can't believe StreamYard's gone down at this moment.
And I came up with a solution.
Oh, turn it in, Perchy.
Turn it in, Perchy. Turn it in. Nick, me and you sorted this out, didn't we? Not Perchy.
Yeah, I don't know what Perchy's. I don't know what Perchy's talking about, but you sent the link. I said give it a go, and that's it. That's it. Here we are.
Absolutely. Big up Tony on a serious note, and yet on a serious note, it was Perchy. It absolutely was Perchy. I was asking all sorts of dumb questions, like, you know, can we maybe write it down on a piece of paper and post it to everybody? I don't know. Like, big up to Tweak, who has sent in a super chat as well and said, a pair character stretching his arm forward, raising his thumb up. I'm guessing, is that meant to be a... I don't know what that means.
Oh, wait, no. Because it's an emoji, but it's coming up as letters. So he's obviously done the... Is it
this? Everyone, that's the emoji.
Brilliant. I love it. This is amazing.
Thank you so much, Tweak. I have no idea how to use this site. Big up to each and every one of you. Let me know, how excited are you? How excited? And yeah, this is great news, Tony. Justin Cochrane, that's the one that they wanted to get. That is the one I'm hearing as to why it took so long to get this over the line, is that Brentford wanted Cochrane to stay in as manager, and he wanted to go with Frank. So fair play, shows the measure of the man. Sava looks like he's driving the wife's car. Sava has not got a clue what he's doing. Don't worry about that. Can we finish Brentford off now and get on Buemo? I love this. Like, it's like they're down on the canvas and we're just going to run over and go, bang, have that, go to sleep. We'll take your best player as well. Big up to Jacob. Jacob, you've got to be happy today. Jacob, you've got to be happy, my man.
Back your manager. Back your manager.
You're happy. You're happy. And Manny has joined us as well. I'll get Manny in 1 second. God, I wish I knew how to work this. There's Manny as well. Manny, bear with us. New streaming site. Good evening. Good evening to everyone. If I miss any super chats, please let me know. Big up Jacob has said, Savile was cooking weeks ago. Spursy isn't dead. It never dies. I'm sorry I ever heard that. Mate, listen, what's done is done. New manager's in. Big up to Marios for the super sticker. Thank you very much indeed. Jesus, there are a lot of you in here already.
I love that. Smiley face with horns.
I love this. Smiley face with horns. Guys, on a serious note, it feels like the end, or the end of a saga and the beginning of something that we can say, okay, let's build now. Am I being deluded, Barry, or is that where you're at with it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what's happened to you in the last 48 hours. You've been polite, you've been kind, you want peace and harmony, and you've been all, you know, I don't know what's happened to you. We want our Levy back. We don't want our Sava back like that. But I think, look, we've been affected by everything that's happened. It's time to put it, you know, that chapter of the Spurs, what do you want to call it? The novel, the mess, whatever you want to call it. That chapter's closed and another one's opened, right? And we hope that means that it leads to, it leads to better things. So obviously, winning a trophy is we've got that monkey off our back, and you know, it's kind of thank you, Ange, you've done that, what have you. But I want to see some good football. I want to see us being up, you know, challenging up the top end of the table. Not, you know, I want to be excited about Spurs playing games of football. I don't want to have to be like trying to find, you know, not watching it or doing other things or everything else. I think a lot of us have become disillusioned. You know, I didn't renew my season ticket, so it's a lot of things that we're just hoping that we can enjoy it again. You know, that's for me, to enjoy it again. Horror movie, exactly, Trevor. Horror movie.
Talking of horror movies, Tony must be very happy because Tony has just did 5 senior memberships to I can tell you who, to Phil Coys. Phil Coys, of course it is.
What?
Phil's still crying about Ange somewhere. Big up to Phil Coys. Big up to Nate the Ape. He also got a membership. I'm sure you're all going to say thank you. Big up to Jeremy. I'm sure Jeremy will say thank you. Big up to you. Troy as well. Thank you very much, Troy. You received a membership. The real N7-year Lewis. Big up to you. You received one as well. Tony, legend. Thank you. Sorry about my bullshit excuses. Ryan Trestane has said, welcome, Frank. Danny, we will see a more solid defence. Bet you can't wait. I can start watching games in the league again. It's going to be a really fun season. And Sava, you won't be bored when we do a watch-along. Laugh out. When we do a watch-along. What are you talking about? I do the watch-alongs. That's my niche within the Spurs community. And if you haven't voted for Sava for the awards for the best watch-alongs, please go along Spurs Kings TV. Take care to you. Thanks, Ryan. Very generous today, my man. Thank you very much. Manny, how you doing? Of course, StreamYard died 5 minutes before Tottenham announced a manager. No other club in the world would have this.
Mate, listen, I have just taken 43 minutes to put my little one down, as I was telling you via WhatsApp. And whilst I was putting him down, I literally got a notification saying Thomas Frank has been appointed. So I was literally absolutely in a rush. Thankfully, he's down. So yeah, no, listen, it's been a while. I don't know how many days it's been since they announced that Ange was leaving. So it's about time. I get that. Yeah. I get that. Obviously, they needed to sort out the backroom stuff and everything. From what I understand today, which in itself, obviously, I know we'll dig deep into that. It's a big plus. Considering what happened with Nuno, considering what happened with Ange. So yeah, listen, we've got to back the manager. We've got to see what he can do. And yeah, I've been watching a lot of videos today. So yeah, I'm happy, man. I'm happy. Like let's join the train.
Yeah, everybody. I hope everybody's joining that Frank train. All aboard. Some of us had first class seats, didn't we, Perchy? Some of us have. We bought our tickets ages ago on like trainline.com or something. We got the tickets. Other people like Manny, they wanted Ange. So we'll let them sit in the back with the rest of the cattle, and we might bump them up if there's any spare seats. Guys, on a serious note, how big is it getting Cochrane as well? Because from what I hear is this guy's a top coach. Like apparently this guy is destined for big things. He coaches for England. He's coached with Frank for a number of years. How big is this?
I think the big thing about Cochrane joining is massive in the sense of he was odds on, like crazy odds on, to be Brentford's next manager. I remember I was saying he was getting like 4 to 10s and stuff like that, and you're going, he's going to be the next manager. And then it came out today that he's decided to come along with Thomas Frank to be his assistant, which normally you would think, it's an opportunity for him to go and step up to be a number one. Instead, he wants to be the number two with Frank, and I think it says a lot about him as a coach, right? I think it says a lot. I think both of them. I think that's as big as Thomas Frank coming in. Not just him, by the way. The fact that Thomas Frank has said, I want him, and him to be in my coaching staff immediately. I always thought with the whole Ange, when he didn't bring anyone, I felt it was a massive red flag at the time. Massive red flag, because I went, what manager doesn't bring his people with him everywhere? Pochettino came in and brought in his. I mean, we had Conte brought in his people. Jose brought in his people. And I think it's massive. I think the fact that Matt Wells and Rob Birch are staying says a lot about them two as well. I think them two are meant to be very, very good as well, and have done and been said by a lot of people when they've been here. So, look, I think it's exciting. It's exciting it's being announced now. We don't have to have the, oh my gosh, it's not going to happen. I think it was done a long time. I think it was done earlier on in the week. I think this has been all about how many staff members we can nab off Brentford. And it sounds horrible, like in the sense of like gutting them out. But look, I'm not a Brentford fan. We're not Brentford fans here. So I don't really care. If we're bringing along the people that Thomas Frank wants as his coaches, then I'm all for it, because that is the man wants what he wants. The set piece guy he's got from Man United, by the way. Again, I'm intrigued by that one. So yeah, I think all things are good. Look, I'm excited. Again, Thomas Frank, when I heard he was the guy, I went, do you know what? I'm up for that. He's a coach. He will coach us better. And hearing how he sets up and what he does, I think we will. I think we'll be really, really in a good place next season. I'm really excited.
Can I just concur on what you just said? One piece, because I was reading the Athletic today about the assistant manager, and the wording was quite interesting. The fact that they said he decided he wanted to join Spurs, because absolutely he was literally at the top of the list of people who they wanted to replace Thomas Frank, and the fact that he actually decided, you know what, I want to join Thomas Frank to come to the club. You're absolutely spot on. And one last thing that I want to also to mention is the fact that when Nuno came in, he is not him not wanting to bring his staff. Levy barred him from bringing his staff from Wolves. So the fact that Frank actually has managed to get his way, in my opinion, is one big plus.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's going to be really. It's as I said, it's all important, right? All these things are massively, massively important. Look, there'll be a certain section. A banana, I love it. A banana. Big up,
I
Richie.
love this site. So instead of showing us the emojis, it just tells us what it should be. Either that or he's calling me a banana. I love that.
Hey.
Big up, richest man. Sure, call me what. Tell you what, if anyone wants to abuse me, tonight's the night. I won't give a shit. Big up to you. There was a couple of other super chats. Big up to the Language Angels. Very, very generous. Has said, character waving their hand saying me.
This is amazing.
These
super stickers are amazing.
Big up to you, Language Angels. Everybody stick in a £1 super chat, right? With whatever emoji you want. We'll see what happens. Shameless of me. I saw a few other things. Sorry, you'll have to bear with me, guys. This is a new site. In StreamYard, they all gather, the super chats.
They lock in, don't they?
They gather in one place. Here, my YouTube is telling me I've got some things. Ben, who big up the Mod Father. Big up the Mod Father as a member for 10 months, level senior membership. Message. Woo! Love it, Ben.
Love it.
Thank you very much. Here we go. Oh, I want Ange. I want Ange to stay. He won.
Back your manager, Phil. Back your manager.
Back your manager. Go on. Who are you going to support, Phil? Who are you supporting next year? Only joking. By the way, big up to Ethan Bates, who's been a member for 9 months. Said Sava moans at Ange not having a plan B. What a hypocrite. Well, hang on. I think we got live pretty sharpish, to be fair. I think between Perchy and him educating me, we managed to get this going pretty quickly. Big up to, I blame Ange for StreamYard getting injured. StreamYard has done his hamstring, doing all that chasing back. Who else have we got? Sorry, we've got loads of... You guys talk, I'll bring them up in a minute. I don't know if I can...
Look, the one thing I want to say is I think, look, on a serious level, there are people that will be very, very critical of this, unfairly, in my opinion. I think Frank is going to have to win over a lot of the Ange fans that will still be sitting there. And look, I think he will. Let's be fair with it, right? Hypothetically, I don't think we will, but hypothetically, we win the Super Cup. Surely that is enough for fans to go, okay, I can get on board. This guy knows what he's doing. By the way, I'm not saying we do beat PSG. They're the best team in the world right now. But let's just say hypothetically he does. Surely anyone that is on the fence or is just against it because of Ange Postecoglou, surely we've all got to at least come to a consensus and go, there's nothing we can do about it. Ange is gone. Frank is in. No matter what people's opinions are, surely you can't. You've just got to get behind the guy. Look, even if you get behind him for the start and go, do you know what? I don't like it. Fine, but I don't to dismiss a manager without even seeing him manage us, even in pre-season, I think is really short-sighted.
Yeah, I think from obviously, I've made it very, very clear in the past that I really wanted Ange to stay. I was of the opinion that last season was an anomaly. I told me and Sav have had many conversations about the fact that I've never subscribed to us just finishing 15th and winning a trophy. I wanted us to be last season to be an anomaly season, and then for us to kick on next season, right? Thing is, Ange is gone, and you support the club. And from Thomas Frank's perspective, it's not his fault that there is a section of the fan base that really, really thought that Ange would be able to turn things around. So, from my perspective, it's he doesn't have to win a Super Cup, against the best team in the entire world at the moment, in my opinion, to turn people around. I think there are little things that he needs to start doing, right? So the way he speaks in press conferences, how he addresses the media and bring the whole fan base around. In my opinion, he's got a bigger thing to do than even bringing the fans around, which is bringing around some of the players, right? Because we've heard some rumors recently. You heard what Van de Ven said. You're now hearing rumors in relation to Vicario. You heard what Sonny said after the game against whatever team they were playing. So he has to bring the dressing room around, right, and get them together as one and get them.
Can I ask quickly? Do you think he does? Like, isn't a lot of this just being played out in the media? Like, for these players to suddenly be so gutted. I mean, these players lost 26 games of football this season. Do we really think like they're going to go, oh my God, this is great? I think they're going to like a manager with structure, mate. I think it's all paper.
I think once they start working with him, maybe the structure is going to convince them. But I think some of the things that have come out is not the media. I literally heard Van de Ven say, that the sacking of the manager is strange. And then we heard someone say, I don't know whether I'm staying. So they're professional. They're going to have to get on the train, but obviously go on.
No, Manny. Just there was one part where he said, I think when we say about the players need to get on board, do you really, look, this is just a genuine question. There's no right or wrong answer. Do you genuinely think the players need to get on board? I think that the problem here is that, and I get where the sort of narrative of this has come from about it, because the players have put out all these heartfelt messages for Ange, which, fine, I get it. But for me, I felt it was very, very loose in a lot of those thanks. Because let's be fair with it, if we didn't win the Europa League, do you really think we're going to be, Basuma's going to be putting up his WhatsApp messages to Ange getting sacked, right? I don't think that was
of course.
It's called political correctness.
Sure, of course.
That is what it is. You've got a couple of players out there saying what they say to make themselves look like a good person.
Of course.
One person sit here and tell me logically that Van de Ven and Romero and any other player that we've got that plays on the defensive side is going to give a monkeys about what has happened to a manager that was basically not far off. He just did not have a clue on how to set up a team on the defensive side. He had to have Romero and the others tell him how to do it. And he even said that himself when it came to the Europa Cup. He had to have the players to tell him to stop playing 10 in front of the ball and play 10 behind the ball. But he hasn't got a clue on the defensive side. Like the players even care.
I agree. If you're Mickey van der Ven right now, sure, you can say whatever you want to Dutch media about whatever when he said about I don't get the decision. Fine. Let's be fair with it. Do you really think deep down he's sitting there going, I'm not going to now work for another manager? Because I hear this all the time.
No, I don't think so.
I'm not. Manny,
I might only snap my hamstring once, not four times.
But Manny, I wasn't saying you were saying it.
No.
I'm just saying, the narrative is like all of a sudden these players are going to down tools for Frank. I think they'll come in and go, do you know what? I can see the vision in with this guy. And I think people will get on board. The players will as well, by the way. I don't have this notion that, let's be fair with it, it's not the first time managers have been sacked. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
no, 100%. But
it's like all of a sudden, like, it's
you
like
have
all of
to
a sudden
remember, right?
people
Like
haven't seen people get sacked,
football
right?
has no matter what anyone thinks, right? Football has intangibles, right?
Agreed.
The main intangible in our situation, whether people like it or not, whether people, say we've lost 22 games or not, which I do agree is unacceptable. But the intangible is that at a club like Spurs for the past 17 years, being, ridiculed year in, year out, this guy's come in, he's won a cup, whether someone thinks, oh, the cup, was not difficult to win, it was difficult to win, whichever way you want to see it, he has managed to get a certain level of buy-in with the players. I don't think the players are going to down tools because obviously they're all professionals. All I'm saying is that he goes in, he has to put in, people are saying to me that obviously he's got, like, from what even I saw as well, the philosophy, the way he thinks tactically, etc. Going strong, the people that are going to swim will swim, and the people that don't get on, even if someone doesn't get on board, let's just say someone doesn't get on board, the person will have to leave. Like that's as simple as, from my opinion, you know what I mean? So, and he doesn't come across as someone who, or pertinent. Like, he comes across as cool, calm, and collected. So yeah, that's what I think from my side.
I mean, it looked like the players were that much behind him on the sideline when his manager and his captain and vice captain sit there, and he says to him clear as day. Now, people say you don't know what got said because you weren't sitting there. I'm sorry, I can read a mouth that simple in that aspect. Same shit every game. Yeah, that looks like he's got when he's captain and his vice captain are sitting there on the sideline, doesn't even make the attempt to cover his mouth to say it like most of them do. Again, just about says it all. What happened there is they had a good night. They won a cup. The players played for themselves. They did not play for Ange. They done it the players' way, and the players got what they wanted. And then all of a sudden, everyone's saying that the players would walk through a brick wall for him and everything. Yes, it looked like that during the season, didn't it? When we lasted 3 or 4 minutes in a game and the players didn't look like they could even be bothered. Yes, they was definitely doing it for this manager, wasn't they? Yeah, he got them to a final. They won the final. Fair play on both sides. And then all of a sudden, it's all love and hunky-dory. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you're not pissed up anymore, and it goes back to the real world, and you think, where's that going to get us in the league?
Dan, I agree with you on that. I think I agree with the whole point of it all, and I get it, right? I think players will buy in straight away. I'll be honest, I think straight away people will go, wow, okay, you know what you're talking about. I think people will get that, right? People won't be chaotic. He will be. I watched a video on Thomas Frank. It was really interesting when he was talking about how he changes in game, and it's tweaking, right? So he goes, oh, if we go 1-0 down, this is what I'll do. If we go 1-0 up, this is what I'll do. If we go down to 10 men, this is what I do. If the other team goes down to 10 men, this is what I do. But my point is it's you listen to him and you go, I trust you. I think that's the key word, right? I look at him and go, if you sign, I'll use Nathan Collins as an example. I go, I trust you know why you're signing him. It could be anyone, but I'll just use him as an example.
Yeah.
But if I trust why you've signed him because you can see a reason why he would work in your system. And I think what fans, this is the one thing I will say to fans, because we all have our opinions on players. I was having a conversation with a few other mates of mine about it, and I used Nathan Collins as the example. They're going, oh, we need better than him. And I said, but what if Thomas Frank wants Nathan Collins? Because everyone tells me all the time.
Right, yeah. Give the manager who he wants.
Give the manager who he wants. And then the second you mention a name like Nathan Collins, they go, oh, I want better than that. Well, hang on. But which is it? Because maybe Romero, and I'm using him, I'm not saying this before people say, maybe a player like Romero isn't what Thomas Frank wants, and he wants someone that is a steady Eddie, cool, calm, and collected centre-off, like a Nathan Collins. If the manager wants that, that's what the manager wants. And I think it also goes with outgoings. I use outgoings as an example. Maybe some of your favourite players may not be what this manager wants. If it's Bentancur, if it's Basuma. I'm just plucking names out, right? That goes both ways. If the manager goes, someone like a Bentancur goes, if I can get money from him, I don't see how he works in my midfield. Surely, if the narrative is if the manager wants what he wants, that's surely what we got to go back, right?
Look, this
Listen.
manager. Go on, say that's
Go on.
all. This manager has got a million times harder job than Ange ever had. Everyone knows my attitude, and it'll be the last time I have to say it. Ange had the easiest job a manager has ever had in the football world ever since there's been football, and that was winning over this fan base. Kick the ball forward, 95% of fans on your side. Lo and behold, he kicks the ball forward in the game a few times. Everyone's on his side. We've now got an attacking manager. There was his support for a long time. And then over a matter of time, it got to the point where people sussed out his football, and then people sussed out that it don't work in the Premier League, and he lost half the fan base. And then he lost even more of the fan base. And then it was around about 80% of the fan base. And then within 90 minutes, he manages to change 80% of the fan base over onto his side again.
You know,
I'm sorry, 90 minutes
from
don't
my
change it
perspective,
for me.
obviously.
This manager has now got to come in. And he's now got the fact that Ange won the Europa Cup on his back, so he's now expected to do something more. He's now got the fact that there's still a lot of Ange sexuals out there that just can't let him go and admit he was a shit manager, simple as that, because he got a 17th and he had to give up half the season basically to win against AZ, Frankfurt, Bodo, and Man U, for God's sake. Yeah, disagree all you want, it's a fact. He admitted it. He said it. He said it live. He said it live.
That's not what he said.
Did he or did he not say that he had to throw the season?
No, but come on. That's not the context of what he gave. That's not the context of what he gave.
So he didn't say that.
If you want to say no, Dan, genuinely, me and you have been on a lot of different shows. If you want to say to me, bearing in mind, again, I keep saying I back Ange, but I fully back Thomas Frank, right? But if you want to say that we went into the start of the season thinking we're going to throw games away, that's not what he said.
I didn't say the start of the season. He said he had to throw it halfway through the season because he screwed it up that bad and already lost us 10 games.
Well, no. I fully agree.
The only reason he lost his job, in my opinion, is because he was willing to basically put everything aside and focus on the Europa Cup, because it's what Levy wanted to get that Europa Cup. Levy had to make that decision. Right, I need that Europa Cup for Champions League because Ange screwed it up so bad for me. There's only one way I get that Champions League. Question is, as Levy, do I keep Ange or do I sack him and get another manager to do the job for me? I personally think they sat down and he said, right, forget the league, the cups, whatever. Do what you can to win when you can. You focus 100% on that Europa Cup and I'll let you stay here till the end of the season.
Okay, sorry, go on.
Sorry, just quickly. I'm falling behind on the super chats. I need to get them done. First of all, Alex, I wish people would stop saying losing our best ever player. I've seen better footballers at Tottenham than Harry Kane. I'm just going to put it out there.
Can I also just say on this guy, by the way, before you carry on, this guy, you need to listen to what I said. Because I saw your comment about saying that I think Frank thinks Collins is better than Romero. Did that come out of my mouth? It didn't. Listen to what I said.
Listen, look, I think, for me, I feel like the Harry Kane thing, we're saying he lost Harry Kane. He never lost Harry Kane. He never had him, right? Tottenham lost Harry Kane. Ange Postecoglou never had him. So he was the new manager going into a club without Harry Kane, right? He has said, Harry Kane has said, and Levy all said that on day one when Ange turned up, Kane told Ange that he wanted to go and that he was leaving the club, right? So Ange knew all summer that he didn't have Harry Kane. We've got to stop this. We've got to stop this.
Yeah. I don't think that's the point, Saba, though. I think the point which people are trying to make is the fact that whether Ange knew that he was losing Harry Kane or not, it does not discount the fact that Harry Kane was the best player we had at the time, and he was losing the best player from the club. That's simplistically what I think people are saying, is the fact that that's what happened to him. It's not. It doesn't discount the fact that he knew or not. You know what I'm trying to say?
Can I ask you, Manny? So what about every year when Brentford lose their best players year in, year out?
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. What about when Fulham lose their best players year in, year out? Palace lose their best players year in, year out. Brighton lose their players year in, year out. 2 years later, we're still talking about it, right?
Oh, no. You're right. They make it work.
Hang on, let me finish, right? This is the problem for me with this whole debate. Is I look last year. Let's use our current manager as an example. Thomas Frank, the new Spurs manager, last year loses Ivan Toney. The bloke he buys to replace him gets a 10-month, 9-month injury, doesn't kick a ball all season, then goes and gets 2 players on 20 Premier League goals who have never, ever hit anywhere near that. Now, that's what you do. You shut up. Not you, Manny. Just, you shut up. You stop moaning. You get on the coaching pitch and go, right, what am I going to do? Our fans, but he lost Kane. All right. Well, what about when Poch lost Harry Kane for half a season and still got to a Champions League final? Yeah. Like, what about when Man City lost Erling Haaland, still went on to win the league? How much did Haaland miss that year? Was it a half a season? He missed that season. People lose their best players all the time. That's how football works.
Let me just say though, he lost Harry Kane coming into the club whilst the season before he finished 8th.
He didn't lose Harry Kane, though, Manny. He never lost Harry Kane.
Okay. He didn't lose Harry Kane, but the best player in our squad at the time, right, left our team whilst we were 8th, right, the season before, and all he did was finish 5th. Like from my perspective, right, he did what he was supposed to do at the time after losing Kane. That's completely fine from my perspective. When he
lost Kane, what did he get from it? He lost Kane, but gained Van der Ven, who we didn't have the year before, Vicario, who we didn't have the year before, Maddison, who we didn't have the year before, Johnson, who was his number 1 choice in the summer transfer market, right? So, we can say we didn't have Harry Kane, but a lot of the managers that had Harry Kane didn't have a James Maddison. They didn't have a Mickey Van de Ven. So I think you've got to weigh it up. Look, for me,
agreed. I agree with you. You've got to weigh it up, right? And when you look at it, you look at both sides of things. And what I mean by that is the fact that obviously Harry Kane, yes, he brought in James Maddison, etc. Harry Kane's, this is a player who at one point in time got best number of goals, best number of assists in the same season, right? So yes, he got some in, lost some. We were 8th the year before. We were 8th the year before. He finished 5th, and then I say, to go back to the point that Dan mentioned, right? In my opinion, I can't remember what show it was that I was watching, but I think I was watching you, right? And you made a good point about the fact that Ange winning the cup you can actually look at it from a different perspective for Frank's future, in a sense of now there isn't an insatiable want for cups within the club because we've just won one. So that monkey is off his back. So he can actually try in the first season, implement his style, implement his tactics, figure out who. Obviously, I want him to figure out who he wants to stay and who he wants to go in the next month or so. But that pressure, actually, from my perspective, I think that pressure is off his back. What he has to do is to try and show on the football pitch that he can actually do something with the way we play. That's from my perspective. Maybe you guys think differently.
Look, Manny, look at it this way, yeah. When a manager, look at managers like players, yeah. When they go for the Ballon d'Or at the end of the season, how often do you see a goalkeeper or defender there?
So what you said?
When they go for Ballon d'Or at the end of the season, how often do you see a defender or a goalkeeper win it?
Yeah, not many times, just once, isn't it?
No, even at times you can say that a defender has had a better season than a striker. The difference is he hasn't done the lovely things and scored the goals. That is what it comes down to. That's why, to me, Ballon d'Or is just BS, most of it, yeah? Because many a time I don't think some of the players, the real players, get looked at. And it's the same as a manager as well. It's all good when the manager goes out and wins everything, this and that, and everything else, he gets rated the best. And I understand that. But then the slightly smaller managers who've actually had a harder job. Now, for me, some are going to say this sounds a bit wrong, whatever, but it's my opinion. Thomas Frank has had a harder job to do with Brentford than Pep has with Man City.
Of course.
He managed to get Brentford up and keep them up for 4 or 5 years, mid-table, with about altogether a workout of 25 million spent, if you take income and money spent as well, something like that. And he has managed to keep them stable with a stadium of what, 17,000 people, no income, losing his best players every time. Go give me Pep and see if he can do that. We'll never know.
I agree with you.
Yeah?
I agree.
To me, Pep had an easier job. Klopp had an easier job than
can we
Brentford,
bring it-
but it's different ways.
Can we
Can we bring it,
Yeah.
guys?
And he needs credit for that.
Guys, about 10 minutes ago, I did try and start getting the super chats done. By the way, Ben, what a great post. Exactly. For all those that keep telling me we lost Kane, Kane isn't the reason why we concede 65 goals and play a two-man at the back and are easy to run through. Kane wouldn't have solved that.
Yeah,
he would have scored more goals, but he wouldn't have solved that. But we are the only club that 2 years down the line still talk about a player that's lost. Crystal Palace last year lost Anderson and Elise. What did they do? They bought in Lacroix, right? What did they do? They went and bought Sarr. You know, that's what they do. These clubs adapt, and Spurs, we just constantly cry about losing footballers. Right, I'm going to go through these really quickly. Big up to Blaine Dev, very, very generous with a big super chat. Said, can Frank the Tank raid Daniel's piggy bank? Look, he's not a sexy name, but I believe he has a ceiling much higher, and we could excel with him. Excited to see how he progresses. Big up, lads. Blaine Dev. I'm excited. I think this is a great coach. We're going to talk about a few things that have been said about him recently by Spurs fans and ex-players and pros, etc. Thank you very much, as always, my man. Very, very generous. Big up to Alex Smith, who has said he will need the backing through Thomas. The backing, though, Thomas, or it will go bad. But I do also worry, as he has no Champions League experience, but time will tell. Listen, you can't get Champions League experience unless you get Champions League experience. Like when I was promoted back in the day into management jobs at work, I wasn't a manager until I was a manager, right? That's how it works. You've got to learn. You've got to grow. You've got to build. Listen, this guy's a great coach. I'm not worried about him in the Champions League. Big up to you. Big up to Graham Rue, super sticker. Hot dog with ketchup. Love it. Absolutely love that. Big up to you. Big up to Marios, who's put in a super sticker as well. Money Mouth Face. I love this. This is such a good game. Money Mouth Face. Big up to you, Marios. Thank you very much. Kulu's elusive right foot said smiling face with heart eyes. Like that.
That's literally
that one.
That's been several stream.
That one. Smiling like Scrooge McDuck. Do you remember when he saw money and his eyes just went? Big up to you. There's loads of these, by the way. Big up to Samuel Gra. A pile of poop with a face. Love it. A pile of poop with a face. We all know the ice cream, isn't it? It's an ice cream emoji, not poo, isn't it? Actually, I've been told. You know the thing that looks like poo with a face. Just saying. Have the debate. Guys, someone Google it.
Tells us what it is. The sticker tells you what it is.
A pile of poop with face. Big up to you. Tony Rodriguez, very generous again, and said, Sava, please get that Barry flip-flop Emerson off the stream. Well, he didn't last very long, did he? He buggered off very quickly. Big up to Barry. Thank you, Tony. You've been very generous today. Big up to Blaine Dev, another very generous donation. This was just a director's chair with the words on set. Love it. Okay, absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much, Blaine Dev. Really appreciate you. I think we've got 6 to go. Alex McCarthy, money mouth face again. Lots of people like the money mouth face. Big up to you, Alex. That's very generous. Ryan Tristane, big up, has said video game controllers spins around as the word GLHF appears behind. I have no idea what that is, but I love it. Thank you very much, Ryan. Appreciate that. Come on, you Purs. Frank the Tank, not Cockney rhyming slang. Big up to you, Frank the Tank. We're going streaking. Great film. Brilliant film. If you don't know, you bloody well should know. It's a great film. Big up to you. Tony Rodriguez has gifted another Sava Senior membership. Big up to you. Thank you very much. That membership, Tony, did go to this guy, Lee Enigma. Big up, Lee. DJ. Big up to you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Tony. Antonio Ollie said, if the players cared about Ange, they wouldn't have lost 22 league games and finished 17th. Listen, Tonyo, really appreciate that. What I do want to do, though, I agree with you, but I want to move on to pastures new. Don't want to talk about Ange. It's done. That was last week. He's gone. We can have this conversation all day long. Big up to you, by the way. And if there are any super chats I've missed, please let me know. This place, I have to go and find them myself. Guys, I don't know if you guys have seen the video. There's a video going around of Jermaine Defoe talking about Thomas Frank. Percy, I know you've seen it. Dan, have you seen it?
No, I've watched about 4 of Thomas Frank's videos now. I've had shitloads of them sent to me, but I haven't seen that one.
Manny, have you seen it?
No, not seen it. Not seen it at all.
Okay, so basically they're interviewing Jermaine Defoe. They said, listen, it looks like it's going to be Thomas Frank. What do you think? He says, Spurs fans are in for a treat. He said, I spent a day with him last year. I was lucky enough to go to Brentford, see him coach, see him manage. He said, top guy. He said, amazing guy, amazing coach. And Tottenham Hotspur have got a good one there. Said, we're very lucky to have him. Why are so many people so unhappy? I'm really happy. I think this is a great thing, Manny. He's a coach. He wants to work with players. He wants to upskill them. He wants to find solutions to problems. Why aren't we all excited?
I think you've got 2 different camps of people who are not excited, right? Just before I make that point, the reason why I have warmed to him and got myself excited is because I've actually watched and read a lot about his background, right? And I like people who've not had things easy. He's not had things easy to become the manager of Brentford, even to get into the hot seat of Brentford before actually bringing them up and getting them there, right? So back to your question. I think we've got 2 different sections, right? We've got the fans who literally wanted Ange at all costs and would not want to hear anything but that, right? Is one of the biggest section of people who are not happy about that. But then you also have a big amount of people who did want Ange out, but wanted Ange out for a Xavi or for an Inzaghi, right? Which, from my perspective, even when we're initially talking about these names, every single time anyone said Xavi, in my opinion, this is purely my opinion, I didn't feel like it was, in my opinion, is a big risk because he doesn't know the league. I don't know whether he speaks English. He probably does, but I hadn't seen enough from Xavi, and also I saw too much of an uplift in the way the performances of Barca once Hansi Flick went in, that made me even more apprehensive about Xavi coming in if it was even an option, right? So I think people, there are 2 camps. The part of the camp who just want Ange and that's it, and the part of the camp who wanted a bigger name.
Yeah, sorry, by the way,
sort of.
Just quickly, sorry. When I see this, I don't feel like people. Again, it's critical thinking. It's not about Anderson being as good as Kane or Elise being as good as Kane. It's about what they meant to that club. Yeah. It's like when Fulham lost Mitrovic, the bloke banged in 20 goals a season from them. That's a huge loss for them, right? This year, if Eze leaves Palace, that's a huge miss for them. Please, guys, critical thinking is really important.
I think what people don't realise, look, the best example, right? Brentford lost Ivan Toney, who was as valuable to Brentford as Harry Kane was valuable to Tottenham. Yeah. People miss it completely. Like, it's not about... This is what people do. They compare the individual player. They don't conversate what they mean to that individual club. It's like using Erling Haaland being kicked out of Man City. You go, hang on, they're losing their best striker. It happens elsewhere. I don't think how people don't get it. I think it's really, really weird how people don't understand that.
No, you're absolutely right on that one. Like, again, I want to be super, super clear. Just because I, wanted Ange to stay, or I might chip in and say things about Ange, has got nothing to do with my backing off of Thomas Frank, right? Just to put it out there. But no, you're spot on. I think one of the biggest thing about Frank, especially this season, you're spot on, is the fact that when he lost Ivan Toney, and I'll be honest and put my hands up, I was one of the people who said, big miss that. That's it for them. I don't know. They're going to be fighting relegation. Brian Mbuemo couldn't hit a barn door like a few seasons ago. And all of a sudden, he's been put into a system that where he's actually scored 20, and I think 5 of them were penalties. But not just that, the striker that was next to him that I actually rated even less than Brian Mbuemo, being Wissa, scored 20 himself. So that you can, whether you like Ange, you don't like Ange, whatever it is, there are certain things that you cannot deny. You know what I mean? Because certain things are factual, and you've got to call it out.
Ange is the sort of thing that will. He's just sort of like the manager. Right, this is how we play. That is how you play, and he'll go and stick a player in that position who just don't play it, and he'll still tell him to play it. You're still doing it in my way. I'd say about 7 to 8 out of every game we played, players was in total the wrong sync. They might have been in the right position, but they was not playing to their advantages and their strengths. Thomas Frank is more the sort of manager who will say, right, I've got you there, you there, you there. I wouldn't necessarily want to play like this, but I'm going to get the best out of this team by you playing your way and you playing your way and adapt. Whereas, whether you like it or not, Ange, he was either too stubborn or he was just too clueless about football in general.
Dan, isn't us signing Thomas Frank everything Spurs fans love Pochettino about?
This is what I've said,
right? I hear all the time about how amazing Pochettino is, how we want him back, how he done everything for us. Isn't us signing everything we love about Pochettino? Our fans are now hating about Thomas Frank.
Well, exactly, because they feel entitled.
I don't get it. It's
like, a lot of them feel entitled.
I don't want Thomas Frank. He's taken us backwards. Hang on, it don't work like that. Isn't
they think they've got an entitlement, Perchy, because we won the Europa Cup?
It's weird.
And with that entitlement, we should be getting in a world-class manager or something, is what people are thinking.
I just think it's back.
Some people are looking at this as a step sideways, not a step forward. And I can understand that. But
I'll be honest, I'll say this now. If anyone else wants to go in on it, I think it's massively disrespectful what Romero done.
What's he done? Could someone tell me? I've not seen it. What has he tweeted out?
What he's done, he's posted.
It's on purpose,
he's posted his, thank you, Ange, for everything you've done for me. Literally 10 minutes after we announced Thomas Frank's been announced. No one can tell me that isn't premeditated. That's weird.
It was.
He's had all week to post it.
Percy, he's already ripped it out of our medical staff, for God's sake, and said thank you to the medical staff in Argentina. Are you surprised?
I'll basically read out what he said. He just said, Ange, thank you very much for the 2 incredible seasons. You're a fantastic coach. Bullshit. But also, above all, a great person who deserves the best. From day one, you paved the way despite many beyond men. We won a trophy and went down in history of this beautiful goal, which means one thing. I wish the best because you deserve the best, and thank you for everything. He posted that literally just after we announced Thomas Frank. Isn't that for me a little bit weird? Doesn't seem right to me. That's not a normal thing to do.
It wouldn't the statement coming out? Welcome, Chris. By the way, welcome, Chris. How was your run?
Oh, terrible.
Good. See, running's bad for you. Nothing ever came good from going for a run. Nothing. Everyone who goes for a run complains that they ache, that it was horrible. Don't go running, man. Don't go running.
And they still do. They're still doing.
They still go and do it again. So. I'll tell you what. This Romero thing's quite weird. Listen, Chris, as you know, we just had the great news that we've got a guy that we've targeted for a long time. We've also gone and nabbed nearly all of Brentford's coaching staff and backroom staff. And then Christian Romero decides within 10, 15 minutes of that news breaking that he should tweet out. I'm guessing it was a tweet. He should tweet out. Thanks, Gaffer, for what you did winning trophy. Like that just seems really. Doesn't that show what people have said about this guy? Like the attitude there doesn't seem right.
I don't know. Well, what would the motivation of that be? I'm not sure. Part of me thinks, I mean, it's a coincidence, but these people have social media teams, right? I mean,
but it can't be a coincidence, right? Because a coincidence would be we announce Frank the day after, and then it gets posted out. Ange has been sacked for over a week.
What are we saying though? Is he trying to achieve? Is he just trying to maybe do something that looks undermining?
Could
So
someone read it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Could someone find it and could someone read it?
I literally read all of it. I said at the end, I wish the best to you, deserve the best, and thank you for everything. Love heart thing. I read it all on his Instagram page. Sorry, I literally read the full quote.
So what are people talking about the combative part? What does that mean?
I read the whole lot. I don't know what Spurs socials. I read the whole thing. He said, beyond everything, we won a trophy and went down in the history, of this beautiful club, which the only thing that matters is I wish the best because you deserve the best and thank you for everything. I read all of it.
I think there must be more to it then, because people are saying that he's called out the board and stuff in his message.
I'm reading what's on Instagram, so it might be more. I'll do digging.
I think it's the part where he says, from day one, you paved the way despite the many obstacles that always existed and always will exist.
That's not calling out. Are people claiming that as calling out the board?
I think so.
Obstacles.
I think what he's pointing out to is
every other week.
The fact that No, I think it's the fact that he said the obstacles that existed and will always exist.
I'll be real. I'm done with this bloke. I think this guy is doing. I'll be real with it. I'll say it how it is. I don't care what people think. This is. Do you know what this is? This is an agent and a player that is forcing a way out of the club by being a martyr for fans. And I don't care. People might not like it because you'll have all the people will be jumping on this going, see, he's calling out Levy. He's the martyr. And if he goes, he's the problem. Nah, for me, I find it disrespectful to Thomas Frank. If I was Thomas Frank and I saw that, I'd be going, hang on a minute, what? Like, yeah, Dean's bang on. He's forcing a move. Cool. Goodbye. Go off. I want time to move on. We don't need players like that. And is
he angling for a move out, guys? I mean, listen,
100%.
The thing I've seen in the last week is, there you go. Because of fans like you, Savat, Romero's going to leave now. Ange's gone. Now, I sit there and I think to myself, first and foremost, weren't we all saying all season that this guy's down tools and wanted to leave anyway? Yeah. Like, this is the guy who's never fit. This is the guy that had a pop at our medical team. This is the guy that somehow always miraculously gets fit for Argentina. I'll say it again. I don't support managers. I don't support players. If a player don't want to be here, go. I don't think he's that good. Worry. This isn't like if Toby Alderweireld had wanted to leave. Nah, Toby and Jan shut up, played football, and you know what? They played it bloody brilliantly, didn't they? Year in, year out. Yeah, do that, Christian. Do that before you're going to sit there and mug everyone off. No, I'm not happy with that. Not happy. But it's not going to ruin my night.
I've sent it to you, Sava, on WhatsApp. I don't know how easy it is to get things on this. It's a new platform we're using, right? It's all a bit different. It's quite good. But anyway, I've sent it to you on WhatsApp if you want to look. It's just what Perchy said anyway. So
yeah. I mean, look, I think the one there is about the many obstacles, and look, yes, there are obstacles at Spurs. Yes, there are obstacles at every football club, but Ange didn't have any more obstacles than anybody else, did he? Yeah. Ange had £400 million and 17 new footballers.
One of the biggest obstacos was the lack of tactics. That was one of the biggest obstacles we had.
I agree. Look, the thing is for me, like, if you're trying to angle for a way out of the club, like, I'm not being funny. It's not like we're losing like the greatest ever player to live. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not going to sit there and cry if I hear that he's agreed terms with Atletico Madrid. I'm not that bothered. Like, but for me, it's the fake martyrism that I don't like. It's him trying to pretend I'm one of the people. I'm saying this to you. No, you're not. You're doing it for yourself.
Exactly. And look, if we're going to be honest, each their own. But for me, Romero is one of the most overrated players I've ever seen at this club. On his day, he is a world-class player. but those days are very few and far between. And you only see a couple of them, basically. But you do see it regular when he plays for his country. Well, that's not good enough when we need him at Spurs. And then he's injured for half the season. And then he costs us games as well, where you can see he's just not really that bothered, or he's in totally the wrong position. And then other games, he saves us games as well and gives you a 7 out of 10. He's so up and down and inconsistent and injured, with the odd world-class performance here and there. I think he's one of the most overrated players we've ever had at Tottenham. And I know a lot of people disagree with it.
I must agree. Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. Like, I must say, in a sense of, you can see that his quality is clear, right? But how many times does he show that quality? And when me, you, Sava have had many disagreements about our start of the season, 2 of those games that we lost and drew were due to him, right? But from my perspective, I think that's the point that Sava was making. Whatever he's saying, whatever it is, manager comes in. If he knuckles down and plays, good. If he doesn't knuckle down and play and decides to leave and we fetch 60, 70 million for him, good. Because if there is one thing that we can all agree with, is the fact that there are some players that are going to really, really benefit from Frank coming in. And one of those players is Dragoshin. Dragoshin is going to really, really, really be like he's the kind of player that you can see playing for Thomas Frank. So we've got Dragoshin, we've got Danso, we've got Van der Ven. If there is a situation where we have to let go of Romero because he is angling for a move, so be it. We're going to fetch some money for it and maybe replace him with it if we need to.
Yeah, look, let's move on from Christian Romero here. Look, let's get back to Thomas Frank. This guy is very well thought of in the world of football. Very well thought of across coaches, across managers. I know we've got a section of our fan base that don't look into that sort of thing. You can see in his interviews, you can see it in his tactical analysis, in his breakdowns. This guy's a coach. This guy's a really good, solid football man that lives it, breathes it, eats it, sleeps it, drinks it, whatever you want to say about it. I just hope now we get to the stage where we can all move on from what's happened and we can actually say, right, let's build. Let's not put unrealistic expectations on him. Let's not expect that he's going to finish top 4 in year 1. Let's not expect that he's going to win Champions Leagues. Let's do what we did with Poch, right? Somebody messaged me earlier in my show, in my channel member only show. Was it in that one? No, it wasn't. It was, it wasn't. It was in my morning show. And they said, I can't remember. Oh God, what was said? It was literally saying, like, the fan base goes mad. Can't thank Poch enough for what he did. Raved about him being magic and the way he coached the team, right? We celebrate him as a coach. And then when we go and get another coach, it's like we've all just forgotten why we celebrate Poch and why we wanted Poch back. And that's the strange thing for me, guys. This is a football guy. Chris, let me come to you. He is a football guy. And I've got a feeling he's really going to unite everybody and actually make us proud to want to watch Spurs. Because, sorry, I know that sounds really cheesy, but watching Spurs this last 2 years, I found it really difficult, Chris. And you go every week.
Yeah. I mean, you probably heard me say before that for me, the biggest thing is about the enjoyment of what I'm watching, and trophies and that are slightly secondary. I was only laughing because when you say he's going to make us proud, Nuno just came into my mind, right?
Yeah. As soon as I said it, I was like, oh, I've done a Nuno. Done a Nuno.
I do wonder whether part of the big issue for me now, just as a fan base, is how do we react? Do we continue down this sort of divided line of almost down Ange out lines? Is that going to carry on or not? And I do wonder, is some of the criticism of him just because he's not Ange? And that, of course, we know that what people are saying, he hasn't won a trophy, mid-table, blah, blah, blah. But if it was another manager, if it was Xavi or someone else, would we still get the same levels of criticism? It would just be something else because it's all coming from this weird Ange fan base. I don't know, but I'm hoping that what we'll see now is a slow move away from that and we can just get behind one guy and stop with all this if we're going to judge him on, and you've seen some of this already, right? He's got to win a trophy because Anne's just won a trophy.
Oh.
He's got a challenge for the title because the statement said we need to compete for all. If we're going to do that, we might as well just pack it in and go home as a club because it's ridiculous. My big hope is that we can unite a little bit, and that's a skill set I think Frank really seems to have of bringing the fan base together. So
Spurs fans don't have that. No.
You know
Spurs
what?
fans
We
can't
did-
do that.
We did.
Come love nor money, no matter what happens at Spurs, you will always find a big part of the fan base that will go against it. Come love nor money, just for the sake of it, or 'cause it doesn't match them.
was it? That wasn't true in the Poch. So
Well, by the end of
Yeah, I
it, there was a
agree.
lot of people still saying Poch out and Poch in. It was divided as, yes,
Yeah,
we
well,
kept us the
exactly.
most
And most-
divided we have been. I'll go with that.
At the end
When
was-
you look at everything else we've had after, it's been split all the way. People
But the
didn't
thing-
want
but is it-
Mourinho. People did want Mourinho. People wanted Conte. A lot of people didn't want Conte. So many people have fallen in love with Ange.
Yeah, but
And then a
that-
lot of people didn't want him.
So
We're
Dan,
very split all the
thing
time.
is that changes though through time, right? Let's be fair with it, right? I get what you're saying. That will change through time. Let's be fair. If Frank comes in and we look organized, strong, consistent, right, and look like a well-oiled machine, and that will take time. That doesn't happen immediately. Like, we're gonna win. There'll be moments where we do lose games of football, but the one thing I always say, it's about a trajectory, right? And you go, okay, look, we may have lost today, but I saw what he tried to do. He tried to change it and it didn't work. Or he changed it and it did work. It will be like that. And we will get to this. And this notion, all of a sudden, people will go by October. Like, I just saw that, like, oh, and by October. No, it's not how it works, right? Like, I think the irony is just because the majority of us, Manny maybe not so, but wanted Ange out, and have done for a while, by the way, that wasn't because we wanted him out immediately. This is the irony, right?
Yeah.
All these people now are going, I don't want Thomas Frank because I still want Ange. Tough shit. He's gone. It's irrelevant now. Surely,
Well-
no matter who you are, whether or not you wanted this guy for however long, right? Surely you can't just go, I don't want the next guy because I still like the other guy. That's not how it works.
Yeah,
Just
no, I
because
agree.
we all
Question
get
comes
our own
in.
way.
Who
But
do you
remember-
support? Do you support Ange or do you support Tottenham?
Exactly.
But that's
That is
but that's
really
that's the
question.
thing, Dan, isn't it? The thing with me, right, is like if we look at the fan base during Poch's era, his heights, Perch is right. You know, the fan base was absolutely united, right? The fan base splits, and that's not a Tottenham issue. That's just a football fandom
I agree.
issue, right? When there are problems, you have people who literally straight away are like, well, there's a problem, you know, I want to be on this side, and there are people that want to be on another side. When we look at, you know, your Mourinho, your Conte, it was all circumstantial because they brought the kind of football to the club which was not backed, which had some of the fan base in arms. And as you said, you're right. You know, at the start of Ange's tenure, there are loads of people, like majority of the fan base was with him. I do not subscribe to the fact that
That's why he had the easiest job a manager has ever had in football.
No, no,
Because all he had
I
to do
can-
was
I
tell the
can
players,
understand.
kick the ball forwards. That's
No,
all he
no,
had
I
to
can
do.
understand where you're coming from in terms of, you know, he had an easy job of bringing the fan base together because we had seen like the amount of dross football that we saw in the 4 years leading up to him coming was quite clear. My point is, what I don't agree with, and Perch pointed out, I was Angeing from the start all the way to the day that he cut his ear, and that's when I was like, this guy, no, he's got to go. And then I changed again, and I was like, actually, no, I can see certain things. But one thing I'm not going to do, and I'm not going to, you know, subscribe to anyone else who's Angeing do, is judge this manager based on the feelings they have about someone else. Again, I will point out again, it's not Frank's fault that we are in a situation that we're in. And you have to be able to judge Frank based on his merit. You know, you can't ask him to win a trophy now, and you can't ask him to be top 3, top 4, in my opinion. So that is something I actually think that what people are hearing are a loud minority of Anjin fans. I actually don't. It's because it looks like the Anjin fans that feel that way are the ones that got a platform to speak out and shout. But if you actually deal with people who, you just have to do some logical thinking, right? And think, well, no matter whether we like it or we don't like it, it's the same thing if Ange had stayed, right? Whether Ange out people liked it or not, if Ange had stayed, he would have stayed and would have had to move on and look at what could have been changed. Same thing with Frank. Frank coming in, we have to move on and look forward and think, right, what can this guy bring and how can this board back it?
This is what we should be doing, Manny, yeah? Should. But that word at Spurs gets used too much. Should. This is how logical thinking our fan base is. They despise Levy all the way, which I can totally understand in that. But then he goes and does for a season what a majority of fan base has been asking him to do. Get an attacking manager, give the manager money, get him the players that he wanted. Don't sack him when it gets rough. Don't sack him before a cup final and stay out of it. And he still gets absolutely slated for it, as he was all the season because Ange was so crap. And then in 90 minutes, Ange turns 80% of the fan base round. But then Levy still will see you next Tuesday. And then Levy, what they've always been asking for is to do what is right for the football of the club and not the business of the club. He goes and does what is right for the football of the club by getting rid of a manager that finishes 17th and nearly got us relegated with 26 defeats in a season, 22 in the Premier League. And then they still turn around and slate into him.
No.
Our fan base is so set in one way that a majority of them, they only see it their way and don't want to see another way.
I think
that is a big problem we have, in my opinion.
No, look, I think I don't really want to go into. I think the Levy argument is
it's just a point I was making.
No. I know. I don't really, because I think it's a very divisive conversation. And I'm at the stage where, look, I'll give credit because, look, let's be fair with it. If we can moan about Daniel Levy and signings and whatnot and all this, and that's what happens all the time, fine. But do you know what? Fair play. Because do you know what? He stuck to his decision, and instead we could have been in a position, right, where we're waiting months for it, and then people would have moaned. So credit, he got rid of the guy. He felt it was the right decision. I believe it was the correct decision, and got in a manager that is suited for what we are looking for as a football club. And I saw someone in the chat. I'm going to call you out. I don't care. Paymay, I think your name is, saying Frank is a born loser. I don't know what that even means. So, but this notion, by the way, this narrative about a manager hasn't won something means they're a loser. So from that logic, we should hire, as I always say, Steven Gerrard. Go and get Steven Gerrard. He's won something. Nonsense. For me, it's ironic, isn't it? These are the same people that want Brian and Burmo. What's he won? These are the same people that wanted us to sign Matheus Cunha. What did he win? These are the same people that wanted to sign Eberechi Eze. What's he won? So the notion about winning something is ludicrous. It's nonsense. I just don't get it. Look, you win some, you lose some. Look, for me, I think we've got the right guy to take us forward and the right guy that will sit there and we can trust. I think the key word's trust here, because we could have appointed anyone. But do you know what? If we sign a player, I trust that's the sort of player that I go, they brought that in and this guy will get the best out of it. Players that maybe I was critical of last season, I'll go, I can see this guy doing better for the likes of Archie Gray, better for the likes of Pape Sarr, etc., etc.
Can we call this for what it is, right? Look, first and foremost, it's a very slippery slope in life, right? It's a very slippery slope. If we want to go down this route of anybody who hasn't won yet is a loser in life, right? Remember that, right? Remember that. So Andy Murray was a born loser until he won Wimbledon for the first time, or the US Open, whichever one it was he won first. Really? That, or is he up against the world's elite? And it's not easy to win. Thomas Frank is a born loser. Okay, Thomas Frank's a born loser. He's taken a Brentford team who had one of the lowest budgets in the league below, brings them up to the Premier League, for 4 years has had the best points to salary ratio of any manager for 4 years straight, 2 top 10 finishes with Brentford, but he's a born loser, right? Okay, cool. Let me ask you this question, everybody. And again, this is where it comes down to critical thinking. Listen, I see the same names every day on YouTube. Big up to all those people. Some I agree with, some I don't. But what I can always tell is how old somebody is by their comments. I'm very intuitive like that, right? I'm also playing a very funny game with myself by saying that. And I'll tell you what I mean later. If we are going to turn around and say, right, Thomas Frank is a loser. He's come from Brentford. Okay, cool. So what about Eddie Howe? About Eddie Howe, who's gone to Newcastle. Everyone wants Eddie Howe now. Everyone thinks Eddie Howe's a great coach. Eddie Howe had never had Champions League experience. He's about to have his second Champions League outing with Newcastle. He's had 2 cup finals with Newcastle, which he's won 1, lost 1, beating Liverpool, beating Arsenal over 2 legs, beating Chelsea, beating, I think, Fulham, maybe someone else along the way. So aren't people losers? No, that's not the right word. So aren't people just not winners yet?
Of course.
Aren't we all building towards something? Hang on. Let me go with this. Aren't we all building towards something? Imagine in life if somebody said, so I start at McDonald's, right? I'm just going to use McDonald's and I'm going to be here for 20 years. And year after year, so I'm on the window, I'm doing the drive-through. And year after year, I'm going, oh, can I be promoted? Can I be promoted to assistant manager, to floor store manager? No, you've not done it before. Yeah, I know, but if you train me, I can do it. No, you've not done it before. Is that where we're at in life? That everyone's got to stay at one level for their entire career because no one wants to give them a chance? Are we at that stage in life? This is going to be a monologue. Are we at this stage in life now where we can't turn around and acknowledge that what Thomas Frank has done with a very small football club has been nothing short of miraculous for 7 years? He's had a £10 million net spend a year. 10 million. We just paid 10 million to get him out. 10 million net spend. And we've got fans going, what's he won? All right, let me ask you all a question. I'm going to ask you all a question. How many of you here and how many of the 900 people in the chat right now, how many of you at the beginning of every season when you're giving your predictions, how many of you put Brentford down to win anything? How many of you go, Brentford are my favourites for the FA Cup? Brentford are my favourites for the league? Brentford are my favourites for the League Cup? You don't, do you? Why not? Because they're not meant to be winning trophies. So when we're going to do this whole everyone's a loser, just try and backtrack it a little bit. Try and think. This manager, pound for pound, salary to points is the best in the country for 4 years. We complain about our salary. Oh, we don't pay enough. We don't pay enough. They're 19th in the salary charts. Only Ipswich spend less a year on salaries than Brentford. This man works absolute fucking miracles every year. And all we're going to do is sit here and go, he's a loser. He's a loser. Guys.
It's the wrong question, Sav.
Mental.
Is he a winner? Just has he won trophies? It's the wrong question. Does he succeed against the expectations set by the club where he's at? That's a completely different question with a completely different answer.
With a little club like Brentford, he went and got 21 points against top 6 teams. The only team that matched that was Man City. Spurs got, what was it, 7 points against top 6 teams?
Wait,
6
how many
points.
did he get? Sorry, how many did he get?
21 points. The only one that
2
equaled
years ago, though. It was from 2 years ago.
The only one that equaled that was Man City.
But I have to say, from my perspective, like that is a non-starter conversation. You know what I'm trying to say? Like Poch hadn't won anything at Southampton before he joined our club. Like there are so many. You just mentioned Eddie Howe. You know, you don't watch a team that has got significantly less resources. Has, you know, it's not to be seen to be competing with anybody to actually say, right, he's not good enough. That's not what you do. However, I am very big on football intangibles, right? And from my perspective, the way I look at it and the way I am seeing it is, and obviously I can't tell anyone what to do, but I back the manager until he shows me something that makes me not back him in the first place. So until he does that, or if up until the point he does that, you have to back the guy. Now this is a manager who got approached by Chelsea. He got approached by Manchester United as well. And I was reading something today about the fact that when he got approached by Manchester United, he deemed the situation of Manchester United not conducive enough for him to make that jump. So he's clearly very tactical in what he does, and the fact that he's coming to us shows me that he can see that actually he can do something here. So that's what he has to be judged by. He has to be judged by what he does when he gets here, rather than, you know, what team he's managed and the fact that he hasn't won anything. Like that doesn't make any sense to me, basically.
Yeah, but I don't think you can. I'm so glad Dan's on here, because Dan will just say it how it is. I think we're all going wrong here. I think we're being all hypocrites here at the end of the day. Let's be honest here, yeah. Jan's fans are not going to change what they feel at the moment, right? On Thomas Frank, right? My opinion on Thomas Frank at the moment, I'm calm. This is the calmest appointment, maybe because we won something. I don't know. I don't know what the feeling is at the moment. But I'm so calm at the moment with this. At the moment, I'm not excited. I'm not disappointed. I'm just calm about it. Because one thing I will say about the guy, he's definitely a coach, 110% a coach that we have been missing for so long. So that's where I feel a little bit more calmer. But one thing I can't do, for example, our friend Jacob, I can't tell Jacob, you should back the manager. You should back the manager. Because then it looks like, well, I'm a hypocrite because I didn't back Mourinho. I didn't back Conte. Didn't back Nuno. So why am I telling somebody else to say, oh, just back the manager? It's got to be natural. Like the whole thing with Pochettino, which again, I'm repeating myself again as a Tottenham fan again, right? I didn't like Pochettino. I didn't like him. I wanted Frank de Boer, right? But Pochettino proved himself, right? Over the year, he proved himself, right? And that's what Frank, unfortunately, will have to do with Tottenham fans, right? And that's just the way it is. And the thing is, though, right? It's all right we don't agree with each other. That is just Spurs. We are not going to agree with each other, right? This is social media. Get used to it, right? There's much more worse things in the world. There's much more worse in the world. Unfortunately, that's happened in the world, right? But the point I'm making is, unfortunately, right, there will be people going off on him when we do badly because they've still got a can for Ange. So unfortunately, the club will have to stick with him like they did with Ange, right? And by the way, Daniel Levy needs a lot more credit in the bank because let's be honest here, Daniel Levy has turned this around very, very quickly for his standards. Let's be honest here, right? Because it'll be 3 weeks, 4 weeks waiting for a manager. He's sat Ange on the Friday. We've got a new manager in on the Thursday. That's actually very, very good for Daniel Levy.
And a new coaching team.
Exactly. And that number two, right? I'm seeing some good things about him as well. You know what I mean? But I'm not hyping the guy up.
He's going to be better than Ryan Mason, isn't he?
Well, that's the point, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's
but you're spot on, Alex. Though the point is that, right, from my perspective, there is a difference between being calm and allowing Frank to change people's mind and actually going against him on purpose because of a previous manager. I don't think it's right to go against him for the sake of it. I think if you're not sure about him, just let him prove, because he will have to prove on the pitch. Like I keep saying, football is not linear. right? So just because he has, been such a great coach at Brentford doesn't necessarily mean it's guaranteed that it's going to work at Spurs. But at the same time, just because he's been a coach at Brentford doesn't mean that it won't work at Spurs. And at the moment, everything I keep reading and listening and watching about him seems to be like someone not just that he knows what he's talking about, but also someone that can galvanize a fan base. I've never watched in the past few years that he's been in the Premier League. I've never watched a press conference of Thomas Frank and thought, I don't know about that guy. I've always remember listening to him thinking he seems to be a calm person. He seems to know what he's talking about. So he needs time and he needs to implement his ways. But I don't subscribe. I don't think you should be going against him just because
a charismatic guy. Look what's going on with him at the moment. You get what I'm saying?
No, hang on.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just saying, right? That the Spurs fans will have he will have to prove himself. You know what I mean? What I'm saying is, at the moment, I'm not against the guy, right? I think he's a coach. It's interesting. It's head coach. It's head coach. It's not manager, right? It's head interesting, right? So that just shows you straight away he ain't there for the to just be a manager. You know what I mean? So I'm saying at the moment that he will just have to prove himself. Unfortunately, that's just the way of the land lies. Unfortunately, right? And those people that are going against him will have to come out and just make their points of why they don't like him. You see what I'm saying? That's just how it's going to be. You know what I mean? If he's a good coach, if he's able to handle it at a big club like Tottenham Hotspur, he will succeed. He will succeed at Tottenham, right? Because he will make those players. We'll see over the year players upskilled, right? Upskilled and better, right? Which I think we've got a chance of having with this manager. But again, I need to see it. And that's what it's always been about with me, seeing it. Right? But at the moment, there's a good potential here. And like I said, that's why I'm very calm about the guy.
No, isn't all of this, guys, isn't all this based around expectation versus reality, right? And this is, let me bring this back to a calm place. And what I mean by that is I'm already seeing posts from people saying, well, if he doesn't get top 4 and win a cup, he's shit. And you're like, hang on. And you're like, hang on. We're Tottenham Hotspur, right? We're Tottenham. We've not morphed overnight into Manchester City. Right, we've not won the Europa League, and we go every year now. There's going to be a trophy. Yeah, you want to win a trophy, right? But we can't sit there and say suddenly. So for me, I think it needs to start with some coaching. It needs to start with some feel-good factor. It needs to start with some context, right? It needs to start with how about the young players getting coached? How about people like Papa Sarr, who hasn't been coached better, in my opinion, in the 2, 3, 4 years he's been here, being coached? How about Brennan Johnson being coached to do something other than tap-ins? Yeah? How about Odegaard being coached to be a winger that can actually get a ball across or score a goal or assist? How about coaching the back 4 to be a back 4 and not be all over the shop? So for me, let's start with the basics. Let's go back to basics. This man will bring calm, tactical fluidity, right? Tactical nous. He'll bring a calm to the players and in interviews, press conferences, etc. This is a really good guy. This is a really good guy that's worked really well at a smaller club. Now, if we were Man City, I'd understand all of this. Oh, he's a mid-table manager. I hate to break it to people. For the last 3 seasons, our average league position is 10th.
Yeah.
Right? I don't know if anyone knew that. Our average league position for the last 3 years is 10th. So what is that? 8th, 5th, 17th. So if we're going to go, oh, mid-table Frank, well, brilliant. He's joining a mid-table team, right?
Yeah.
If that's what we want to do, he's joining a mid-table team.
Sabah, the problem is we won the Europa League. That's why people are saying what they're saying at the moment. You see what I'm saying?
I understand that. But a cup run...
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I know what you're going to say. I agree with you, right? I'm not disagreeing with you here. But the problem is that Europa League has heightened up people's expectations.
Of course.
After Ange got sacked, people were so disappointed, saying we're going sideways with Frank. I was sitting there saying, who are you to start saying we're being sideways with Frank? Who are you? You know what I mean? You know, because at the end of the day, what are your expectations? You were giving excuses for them. I don't want to talk about him anyway, but because he's gone. But you were making excuses for that guy, right? Now all of a sudden, now we've got somebody who's coachable, who can coach right now. Bring it back to a bit of normality now. Why can you just regardless what you think, why can you just look at it from a different angle? You know what I mean?
Can I show you something? Can I show you something? So this was sent to me earlier today. So you got to remember, this is a new site, so everything's new. So this is, I mean, take from this what you will, but it's a number of metrics that are added up to give an overall rating over the season. And, Thomas Frank's got Brentford in the top 15 in Europe. This man had, 66 goals in the league. Brentford, 66 goals. He manages Brentford.
Better goal ratio than us.
Right. Now, when you look at this, right? I mean, what are we seeing there? Brentford, 62 games, 62 yellows, only one red card, 47% possession. It's not the end of the world, is it? For a team with the players that Brentford have got. I just look at all of these things, and there's nothing I see, guys, where I think, I don't want this guy here. There's nothing I see that should be alarming. I feel like we're just doing it to cause a fuss now.
I agree. Look, I need to shoot, but I wanted just to say my last piece on it. I agree. I think people are going, he's not this, he's not Jose, he's not Conte. I hate to break it to people. We're not automatically going to change the way we operate. So surely, we want to get in a manager that is suited to the way we operate, whether we like it or we don't like it. We're not going to all of a sudden change the way we are when we get in a big name manager in air quotes. So surely go get a coach, which we have done, that can look at the squad we have and go, I can make them better. He will look at the squad and go, I know how to make them better. And I don't have to do much. He doesn't even have to sign anyone and he'll make this squad better. Right? And look, I always say this, and I'll leave you guys on this last bit. I always say the matter in the way that the team that the manager is leaving, how they react, normally tells you a really poignant way on how it is. No one Brentford fan is sitting there going, I'm happy that he's gone to Tottenham. Not one. And surely that should be the barometer, that they're gutted they've lost Thomas Frank. They're gutted they've lost all of their staff. That surely has to be the narrative, the way we're looking at it. I just think, look, get on board with it. Look, listen, it's not going to be easy. Now it's time for us to start looking at players. Look, do you know what would be a really good, poignant way to unite this fan base? If we managed to somehow hoodwink Brian and Burma of Man United. Imagine that. On the weekend, we hear the noise that Brian and Burma has changed his position and wants to come to Tottenham and work under Frank. Now, that is a uniting factor. Look, I'm going to go. Sava, enjoy Restream.
100%.
I will invoice you my 50% commission for saving the day. Guys, big up everyone in the chat. Much love. I'm going to go get some bed. Peace out.
Yeah, mate. Just before we carry on, guys and girls, listen, the fact that we managed to throw together this stream for you without StreamYard, and the fact that only 382 of you have liked it, out of however many thousands and thousands and thousands that have watched this stream. Come on, guys. You can all smash a like button, can't you? Spurs have got a new manager. If today is not the day for smashing a like button, then I really don't know what day is. Just quickly, let's do these. I've got somebody waiting in the background. I think Matty K wanted to come on for 5 minutes. Matty, if you want to try again, if you're watching, Perchy's gone now, so I can get you in if you want to join. Just while I'm waiting for Matty, big up to Jordan, who's put in a super chat, very generous £20 super chat, saying, now it's official that Frank is our manager. We should all get behind him. Amen. I am happy with this appointment. Let's hope Thomas Frank can impact us like Eddie Howe has with Newcastle. Big summer for our recruitment team. Absolutely, mate. And what I'll say is, Give him time. Eddie Howe hasn't performed miracles overnight. Eddie Howe has slowly but surely got them better and better and better. Big up to you, Jordan. Very generous indeed, my man. Thank you. Andy Lester with a super sticker. This one was a white unicorn with rainbow hair. I love this site. I love this. Instead of showing us the sticker, we just get to know what it would have been. Big up to you, Andy. Jay Coy 79. His one was smiling with sunglasses. Big up to you. Thank you very much, Jay Coy. Very generous. Super chat here from Gary over there in Ireland. Malton Barley said, no comparisons, no negativity. New era starts now. Bang on, Gary. No negativity from me, mate. I'm over the bloody moon. Frank is our manager. It was written in the stars. From the moment my baby was taken from me, it was written in the stars that Frank would be our manager. I'm fully on board the Frank train. Big up to you. Thank you, Gary. Big up to Ryan Trestane, who has put in a super sticker. It's the pair character exaggeratedly stretching his arms forward to offer a cup of coffee. Something like that. There we go. Big up to you. Danny, did I see that you needed to go, or am I making that up?
No, I'm all right.
Yeah, sorry. I thought I saw somebody write something. Sorry. Or was that Perchy? Sorry.
No, it was Perchy. I replied to Perchy and just said, "Laters, have a good night."
Not trying to get rid of you or anything. Not trying to get rid of you. Sorry, Lubo was trying to get in. That's all. I'll just say, just give it 5 minutes.
If Lubo wants to go, come
1
in.
second. Just give it 5 minutes, mate. Yeah, because I'm only allowed 6 on this one. Matty K, you've just sent me. First of all, how was your exam this morning?
Decent.
Or
Your face tells another story there, man.
yeah, was it decent? I don't feel like you said the other exams went really well. So did this one? Okay, all right, good. And what's the exam tomorrow?
Chemistry.
Chemistry. Good luck with it.
On stream then, bloody hell, you should be revising.
Matty, I'm giving you until 22, right? You're allowed 5 minutes, and then I'm going to go all parent on you. And then I'm kicking you off. You're going to bed. You're not going to WhatsApp everyone all night. You're going to go to bed, put your head in a chemistry book, and then get to your exam in the morning. All right, mate? You've just sent me a WhatsApp, Matty K, saying, sell Romero. I hate him. Talk to me. Why?
Firstly, I'm very happy with Frank.
Good.
It's been 6 days since Ange has gone. We've got a few of his staff. I'm very, very happy. I think it's a lot of progress, and we're going in the right direction now. I hope he gets back to what he wants. I think he's going to develop some of our players extremely well, much better than previous managers. I thought Romero posting about Ange 5 minutes after Frank was announced is very childish. It's making it very negative. Like it was obvious. It was obviously meant to be posted straight after Frank was announced. I mean, I just think that's so not right.
Yeah, it was very, very interesting, wasn't it? That the choice of time to tweet about Ange Postecoglou, like 10 minutes after the new manager had been about. But listen, I don't think we should let that cloud the day. Matty, as you said, it's a very good day. It's a very good day for Spurs. I think you are somebody that's come around to the way of thinking of Thomas Frank in the last couple of weeks. Is he your gaffer? I know you like to say it. Is he your gaffer now?
Yeah, I think he's a brilliant manager. I think we're going to be a consistent club again, getting top 4 consistently. I think, and I think we're going to get some trophies. I genuinely think that. I think with what you've seen with him, he's gone from 10th in the Championship with Brentford to getting top half of the Premier League in 7 seasons with such a low budget, and I think that's an incredible job what he's done. I think he's brilliant. I think he's one of the best managers in the world at the moment. I think he's probably in top 10. And I'm being serious. And with the coaching staff we've got around him, I think we're going somewhere. I think it's a proper project. I think teams are going to be scared of us. I think we're going to go to the lane. We're going to win games. We're not going to be losing to teams like Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester. We're going to be winning games at the lane. We're going to be a consistent team. I think he's a sensible coach. I think he knows how to be humble. I think he's intelligent. I think he's extremely consistent again.
I mean, I wouldn't say I'm excited for having Thomas
Yeah,
Frank. I think
yeah.
excited is the wrong word for me anyway, yeah? But what I actually am now is looking forward to next season. What I actually am now is looking forward to see what he can do with this club. I'm now at a point where I've actually got some feeling in me that I want to watch Tottenham play again, and that I'm going to get angry if we scored against and happy if we score. Not to the point where the last manager drained me so dry of football and Tottenham that we won a cup final and I was just more relieved that it was over than we won it, for God's sake. And this is where Frank takes me. I see there's a lot of potential there, but how far can his potential go? Can he do this? Can he do that on a bigger level? Time will tell. Can he sort out some of the issues with the players there? He's going to have a nightmare with half the fan base there that just don't want to let Ange go and everything else. I'm very interested and looking forward to it, but I wouldn't say I'm excited with it.
That's why I say it's calm. I'm calm. That's why I say I'm calm at the moment.
No, I can agree with you. I can see where you're coming from. I'm the same as well. I'm interested. I'm looking forward to it. But
he's definitely what we need at the moment. He's definitely what we need at the moment.
The thing is with him, Alex, with Frank, is I think the thing other people need to look at is Levy ain't changing for shit. Come love nor money. Levy is Levy. Yeah, he done it totally different last season, but I think most of us can work out why. He needed that Europa Cup, he needed that Champions League, and that's all there was to it. So he shut up, sat back, and he took the gamble, let Ange do the job. Now Levy's come down like a ton of bricks like he usually does, but he's done it a lot quicker, and I think he's done it a lot better by also bringing in the coaching team. And with that, with the way Levy is, and we know he's not going to change, it shouldn't be this way, but it is this way, so deal with it. Like it or lump it, basically. We need a manager who I feel can adapt to Levy's ways to get the best out of the football as such, yeah? It's all good getting a quality manager in there like Conte or Mourinho, but they was never, ever, ever going to adapt to Levy's ways. I think Frank is a manager who can adapt and play with the cards he's got and can deal with the good and the crap he gets off of Levy as well. And this is another reason why I'm very interested on how this is going to go.
Can I say one thing? Sorry. Well, can I say one thing? Because obviously, with regards to the Levy aspect of things, right? Could we say and give him the benefit of the doubt in terms of last summer, right? To say that the thought process behind the players that we brought in was purely based on which competition we were in, right? And the fact that they must have sat there and thought, and I'm just being devil's advocate here, they must have sat there maybe and thought, right, we are in the Europa League, which is a second-tier competition in comparison to the Champions League. Mm-hmm. So maybe we don't need to be able to buy the level of quality needed to try and compete in a higher competition. And that maybe this summer, he actually will look at it and say, right, let us go and bring an Mbuemo, or let us go and bring someone of higher quality to be able to compete in the Champions League. Because let's be real, that we will need to be able to play the first team, like an embodiment of the first team, on Wednesday or Tuesday and on Sunday. Saturday or Sunday as well. So surely
it should be like that. But the question is, with it, the problem is we finished 17th. And that Champions League place is going to win us over some players because we're in the Champions League. But then just because we're in the Champions League, there's still a lot of players who are going to sit there and look at us and think, look at that pile of shit. It finished 17th with 22 defeats. Okay, it's got a new manager. I'm interested, but don't know where this is going to go. Don't know where the team stands at the moment. That Champions League place saved our ass in so many ways, in money and everything else, and possibly some players we can attract. But there's going to be too many players that will look at it and say, yeah, BS the Champions League, they finished 17th and nearly got relegated. I ain't going near that crap.
Yeah, I agree.
And destroyed us as a club by finishing.
I just want to let Matty in.
17th.
I just want to let Matty in to have his last say, and then I am kicking you off, and not in a horrible way, Matty. I want you exams, my man. Exams.
Yeah, I just want to say lastly that Frank is the perfect manager for Levy because he's been on a low budget for the last 7 years. He's using players with very low wages, and he's learned to buy players for very low prices and adapting them and creating them to become bigger players. So I think that's perfect for Levy. Thanks for having me, everyone. Big up.
Thanks, Matty.
mate.
And
Good luck.
Matty did just WhatsApp me to let me know as well that Manos Solomon got married tonight. So thanks for the information on that one, Matty. And congratulations to Manos Solomon for getting married. Matty, see you later, mate. Get out of my stream. Go to bed. If I see you on another stream, we're having words, all right?
Big up.
Big up
See
to
you
you
later.
as well, mate. See you later. See you later. Not just teenagers being signed at Spurs, teenagers on YouTube as well. Oh, to be 16 again. Actually, I don't think I'd like to be 16 in this era.
Not
Don't.
really.
Oh no!
I don't.
No, not in this era. You,
No, not in
you
this
couldn't have
era,
kept me
no.
indoors
No.
if you tied me up, for God's sake. Now the
No.
problem is getting them out. You can't do it.
Hang on. Join. Hang on. Sorry, Lubo. Join now. It's free. Yeah. Look, guys. Let's look forward. Let's look forward. I'm bored of looking backwards. I'm bored
Yeah.
of it. Pointless. It's done. He's in. We need to get going. We need, guys, you've heard me say this the last few weeks. What's next? Yeah, when everyone's partying about Bilbao for 2-3 weeks, what's next, right? What's going on with the manager? Well, we now know what's going on with the manager as we bring in Lubo. What do we do now, guys? Because Thomas Frank is he's tactically flexible, which means he's going to need DMs. He's going to need wingers that can run at their man. He's going to need centre-halves and fullbacks that can defend. So we need to go and get him. What's the first thing? I'll start with you, Lubo, because you just joined. Evening to you, sir. How are you?
Evening. Yeah, all good. You guys okay?
Yeah, we're over the moon, other than hearing that Thomas Frank's a born loser. Apparently, he's a born loser. Lubo, you're Thomas Frank. You got a lot to do. You're starting work, I'm guessing, tomorrow morning. What does this man need to get done in the transfer market ASAP? Where are we looking at?
We need to get Romero in as soon as possible, Sonny in as soon as possible, see what their plans are. He's got to see what squad he's got. He's got to look at he's got to go through all the videos for all the games. Look at everybody, how everybody performed over the previous season. And I think I'm sure he's got some ideas of what players he wants and who he needs to bring in quickly. And once that's done, then he can get going. But at least now we've got some calm, we've got some stability back.
Hang on. This is the Spurs fan base. I give it 24 hours, Lubo. I give it 24 hours.
People have got to be sensible. The guys just started. People have got to be given the chance. You can't just say, I saw comments yesterday, what if Spurs lose in the Super Cup? Well, who expects Spurs to win in the Super Cup? Let's get serious.
Yeah. How dare Thomas Frank not beat the European champions, with Doué and Dembele and Kvaratskhelia.
I know.
Shocking.
I know.
But okay, so in terms of a position, there's lots of reports that Frank wanted a number 6, that he wanted Mbeumo. Yeah. He wants a Semenyo type. What are we, do we think now Spurs make a statement? Does Levy make a statement now to say, hey, this is my manager, look what we've done immediately? Or is this pipe dreams, Manny?
He has to. I'm sorry. I know people don't want to hear it. And I know I'll get slated. But Mbeumo, right? I know people are also going to say Manchester United, but he has a relationship with Frank. He's proven in the Premier League, and he literally takes us on the right-hand side. Like, let's be real. People are saying, he can coach. I don't think he'll be able to coach Johnson to do anything but the tap-ins, to be completely honest. Because inherently, as a player, right, he is not that kind of player. I think he's good to be in the team as a squad player. But if we bring in an Mbeumo, he literally elevates us straight away. And in my opinion, it's not a crazy thing to say that we should be going for an Mbeumo. because he's literally had a relationship with a guy. I don't
I
think
totally get that, but hasn't Mbeumo only had one good season to his name, and that was his last season? Before then, he was pretty crap.
Yeah, but look at the
Right.
Look at the
So
players
now we're
around
looking
him.
at it like a Solanke, who's had one good season that stands out, and then all of a sudden he's the next best thing since sliced bread. Now, I think Mbeumo would be a good buy for us and better than Johnson. Do I think he'd score more goals than us? This is all where it all comes about. This is where I think Frankie's going to change a couple of things, because times I've seen him play with two up front. I could honestly see him doing a Solanke and Johnson up front, which I don't think is a bad idea. Yeah, like an old Michael Owen, Emil Heskey, not on the same level, but your target man and your little poacher. But again, Mbeumo, everyone's bigging him up so much, but he's had one good season.
But I think my overarching point is about needing a right winger. Like you can take Mbeumo out and put another winger that actually can take on his man, right? Which at the moment at our club
we
seem not to have. We seem not to have.
I agree.
Our wingers get the ball, and the first thing that they're thinking is to pass the ball back to the person who's passed them the ball.
I think people are missing a trick here, right? You just said something, Manny. Again, this is why I love you, Manny, because you say stupid things, right? Right? You're saying like Johnson's a good backup. Bruv, stop doing backups. We're not learning. We're not learning again. No, we don't. No, we don't want. I don't want backups in my team. I don't want.
What do you mean you don't want backups in your team? Who's gonna sit on the bench?
No. I don't want backups in my team. I want people.
Who's gonna sit on your bench?
No, I don't care. I want people to compete for position. If they're not competing, I don't want them in my club.
Yeah, but you're not gonna change 11 players in one window.
Doesn't matter.
No, it does matter.
We're in Champions League. We're in Champions League. We are in Champions League this season, and I'm not having backups.
You're being unrealistic.
No, I'm not being unrealistic. I'm not being unrealistic.
What did I miss?
I'm not being unrealistic. I'm not doing backups. No. You've got the backups. Get Timo Werner back then. Get Timo Werner back then. Okay, do you want Timo Werner back then? Timo Werner. Okay, should we have Timo Werner back then?
We've not turned to Man City overnight.
I don't care. No.
It's not about what you care.
Okay.
Unless you're going to pay for the players, Alex, it does not matter what you care about or not, right?
This is why we're not top team.
You're not going to buy 11 players. I'm sorry to break it to you.
Well, that's why we got a coach. That's why we got a coach. A coach upskills the backup to make them first team. That's what they do. That's what they do. I don't know what we're talking about.
Can I ask? Sorry, guys. I left the room for 2 minutes. Right? What's been said? What have I missed?
Because Alex wants 24 starters in the team by next week. That's what's happened. No. Alex wants 24 starters in the team by next week because Levy is that chairman. Come on.
No. You didn't listen to me again.
I listened very carefully.
Well, no, you didn't. You didn't. Well, listen to the main event, and I'll make it.
Let the main event go, Manny. Let the main event go. Go on, Alex. The floor is yours.
Talking about what I want is every single player that wants to compete for their place. Right, because the problem we had last season, when players were injured, we had players that were coming in and they weren't playing well, like Timo Werner, and he was struggling. Right, what we need is like what we had at Newcastle. Right, I forgot his name now. The winger, right, that came in and he done well for the
Harvey Barnes.
No, Harvey Barnes was somebody else as well. I forgot his name now. Yeah,
Murphy.
Murphy. Yeah, he came in. Made himself known, and then he stuck into the team, right? And then it made players play better. You know what I mean? You don't need world-class players. You don't need always world-class players, no. But you need people to compete. That's the whole point. But now you're saying to me, "Oh, he's a good backup. He's good to sit on the bench." Why? No, I don't want that. No.
Alex, I don't know what you're saying, though, Alex. Genuinely, I don't know what you're saying. So, are you saying
what do you mean you don't know what I'm saying? What do you mean I'm not telling you? I made it quite clear to you.
Sorry, should we sell Johnson or should we not sell Johnson? What are you saying?
Sell him. If he's not going to compete, if he's not competing, I don't want him in my club.
But I don't want him in my club. He's the highest goal scorer for us last season.
On another side, though, look on this from a slightly different side, yeah? If we want better players, whether you like it or not, there's always going to be what you call a backup player at the club or the second standard or the tier 2 player to the player in the main position. What we should be doing is going and getting a player that is better than Johnson for what we need, and then letting Johnson drop into the subs bench, basically, so we can still bring him on to score a goal. Or is he going to start playing 2 up front like Frank does in games? And that?
Compete.
I think that's what he's trying to get at.
Well, that's the whole point. You know what I mean? And especially if Frank is a good coach, he's going to hopefully upskill some of the people that are not very good, that are on that sub bench to say, well, I want to compete for your place. Because if you're not playing well, I'm going to take your place. Like Spence did last season. But
isn't that exactly what I'm saying though? So we've got a right winger at the moment who, whether people like him or not, tapping it, the amount of goals that he scored from that back post is not just due to I'm tapping the ball in. His positioning has genuinely been incredible, right? In comparison to anything that we have at the club. So what you then do, you
make sure you're standing by the back post and the ball should come there. Excellent.
And what you should be doing is bringing a player who can actually play a right wing and actually take their men on, who, as you were saying, Alex, can compete with the guy. But I don't subscribe with the fact that we can't change it. We can't, he scored the number of goals he scored, not by fluke. So you upgrade him and you have 2 options that do 2 different things that actually get us in a better position from that right-hand side. That's what I'm saying.
So can I just answer your question then, on your logic then, right? What if that first teamer gets injured? What happens if that first teamer gets injured? Like last season, most of our first team got injured. And then we have to have the backups to become the first team. What happens then? Yeah, we're going to start putting the violin out. We put the violin out for us and say, oh, sorry, we ain't got our first team at the moment, so we can't play well at the moment. Oh, yeah, but we've still got a league season at the moment to play, by the way. You know what I mean? So let's all feel sorry for us. Put a violin out. Let's put a violin out. All get feeling sorry for ourselves. Let's all feel sorry for ourselves. But still, life still to go on.
The people have spoken. They want Lubo to step in. Lubo, restore some order between these 2 drunkens. They're like 2 drunkens in a pub.
Give Alex some sense, man.
Go on, Lubo.
Put some sense in Alex.
Come on, Lubo.
Right, Alex, right. Take yourself a few weeks. Let's go into the future, a couple of months, 2 or 3 months. Frank has upskilled. Frank has brought players back to where they were prior to Ange, and maybe improved 1 or 2. Out of this squad, how many do you think we have? If you lost Romero, Danzo would step in.
Yeah.
That's a sort of step up that you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
How many do you think we've got in the squad that can do that?
That's a good question. I think Spence definitely can. Who else is there? The midfield is very, very difficult at the moment because I don't know who's going to actually stay. So I think Val could be that guy because I think he needs that sort of person. I think Alderbear could be that guy.
I think the midfield could cover itself, Alex, because neither of them are particularly better than the other as such.
That's the thing at the moment. Yeah, that's the thing at the moment. I think
which isn't a good thing.
I think Dragosin at the moment, unfortunately, because he's injured, we don't know how he's going to come back at the moment because that was a pretty bad injury. So I don't know. I can't really have any questions on that one. I do think Danzo would be someone that could help, and I think he could do something with Davis, possibly. I don't want him here, but that's it for me. But other than that, I don't know at the moment.
So, Alex, you're really talking. We're just talking possibly at a stretch 16, 17 players.
That's the thing. And it depends on what young players, if he's going to use the young players as well. But my point is that at the moment, because we've got Champions League, there's going to have to be people that are going to have to step up. We can't be happy sitting on the bench and just thinking, like I said, I'm not going to be a hypocrite. I don't want backups at my club anymore because I'm
No,
tired of.
Alex, the problem you've got, and if let's talk realistically, is that today's June the 12th. In about, what are we talking about? 14 weeks roughly. We're going to be starting in the Champions League. That's not a long. That's not a lot of time.
I agree. Yeah.
You know, it's another 3 or 4 weeks till they start pre-season training. So you're looking at the best part. What are we talking about? 10 weeks. 10 weeks from pre-season training to starting Champions League matches. So he's not got a lot of time. You know, you got to look at this season really as an initial season for Frank.
Yeah.
You know, we're not going to be pulling up any trees in the Champions League. If we could get into the last 24, that's probably a bonus. You know, and you're into a last 16 playoff two-leg tie. And I think more importantly, you've got to, what you need is that tactically, we get back to where we were. And we were good tactically under Conte and Jose. We were good. We just, neither of them had the players to play the sort of football that they wanted to play. I think this is going to be more of a transitional season because we're coming from a long way down. We were 17th.
And just dragged us to the bottom, basically. He has destroyed us.
And we
don't know.
Alex, me and you finish this conversation. Lubo, nice.
We will.
Take care, Manny. You're always welcome, man. Always welcome. Take care. Nice to see you, man.
So we got a long way. We got a long way back. Yeah, if we were 8th or 9th, you'd be thinking, okay, great, maybe you can get us up to, challenging maybe for top 4. He's got a long way to bring us back. People don't realise it. It was
Ian, I'm not disagreeing with you. There. I'm just saying.
I understand what you're saying regarding you don't want to back up the same sort of gap in quality between first 11, 12.
I just want
the rest. I understand that. I think we're in a funny place at the moment because people are looking at players and they're judging players, and I don't think it's fair because for the last 2 years they've just been asked to run around like headless chickens.
But that's what Frank's got to do, isn't it, Ian? He's got to bring. He hasn't just got to make the players better. He's actually just got to get them back to standards and then make them better because they're so below standards, isn't it?
And it's going to take months and months and months of drilling his systems into the players. He doesn't play one system.
I think it's individual. It's individual coaching as well, Lubo. That's the point I'm making at the moment. I don't know why people in the chat are saying I'm not talking in sense. I think I'm actually making it actually quite clear what I'm saying at the end of the day. The point I'm making is that I want players to compete, and that's what I'm hoping over the season. I'm not looking for any miracles here at the moment.
Alex, I understand what you're saying, and the reason why we didn't get over the line with Poch, and the reason why we didn't get over the line with Harry, particularly if you look at the Redknapp years when we were challenging, we always seemed to fade away last couple of months of the season because he couldn't rotate and he didn't have enough quality players. There was a large gap. He had Walker Rose just to give an example. That was Poch, where you had Walker Rose and then you had Trippier and Davis, which was a big divide. And I think Redknapp had pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So you have your good first 11 or 12, and you had Dyer and Sonny come, around that team in 2017 when Wanyama came in. You didn't have too much after that.
Yeah.
And that's the situation that we found ourselves in last season because they brought, last summer he got rid of a lot of established players. We played 50% more games last season. I say season just gone than Angie's first season, and he had several less established players to play.
Ian, am I saying superstars though? Am I saying superstars? Because I'm seeing people in the chat. Not that I'm just saying. I don't think I'm actually explaining. I don't know if I'm explaining it wrong. I'm
No,
not asking for.
Can I try and paraphrase for you, Alex?
you're talking about what you want is squad depth.
It's squad
Look,
depth, yeah. That's going to compete. I'm not looking for
Yeah.
superstars here. I'm knowing what
First
we
of
are.
all, Alex, I don't think the first 11's even got any superstars. So when we're
That's the
talking about
point.
getting superstars as backups, I think what we need is, I'm sure you'll all agree with me. We need smart. What's wrong? Oh, sorry. My wife's just coming looking around. I'm like, what have I done? You know, when you think you've done something wrong.
Just
Anyone who's
Sam, just say sorry or you're right in advance.
yeah, sorry, yeah, you're right.
Happy
you're right.
wife, happy life.
I think, and Chris, let me bring you in. You haven't talked for a while. Chris, for me, I've said all along, people keep throwing out these names. And for some reason, everyone needs the big name. Everyone, oh my God, we need this. We need that. I think we need sensible signings, Chris. I think we need players that Thomas Frank wants to work with and thinks I can get the best out of them. If that is Umbuemo, if that is Semenyo, if that is Grealish, whoever this manager thinks he can get the best out of, I'm cool with that, right? But what I'm not cool with is our fans saying, back a manager. Then, if the manager has said he wants X, Y, Z player, then going, yeah, but not him. We've not backed the manager. Do you see what I mean? I just think we need sensible options, Chris. Sensible, good players.
Before I answer that, I was just going to say I was quite shocked, Alex, that you being surprised that the chat was saying you were talking rubbish. Surely you're used to that, mate. I would have thought.
Yeah, no,
anyway,
no.
only joking.
I know.
Only joking.
Alex, I think you've just been given.
Oh, Alex.
I've got one somewhere. Here you go.
He has.
You're right. You are right.
So I was only joking, mate. Look, signings, we're going to make some, obviously. I'm not that worried. I know people are saying we've got a long way to come back and Ange has got us to 70. I get all of that. I reckon these players, you get them on the training pitch. These are athletes, right? They used to play in professional football for years. I can't believe that they enjoy being told to repeat the same training all the time. No intelligence to it. Just get to this position, cross the ball to the back post. You just run here. I reckon get them on the pitch with a guy who actually goes, you know what? I want you to use your brain. I want you to think that we're going to do this in this situation. We're going to do this in that situation. It's going to challenge our players. I think they'll enjoy that more than the ANDS training. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying we're going to suddenly transform overnight into an amazing team. But I totally agree with what Lubo says. I'm really reluctant to judge anybody on the last 2 years. And I'm really confident, hopeful, maybe more than confident, that Frank on the training pitch, training in a way that the players will enjoy, I think you're going to see a lot of players raise their level miles beyond where they've been the last 2 years. So you're talking about signings. Yeah, it's really important. I'm relatively relaxed about it this summer. I just get in and work with the players and then sort of see where we go from there. Of course, we can always improve, but yeah, I think he'll do wonders on the training pitch for some of these players. I think they've got a second life at Spurs, some of these now.
I agree. Where he's got an adaptive ability, and you can see that where he's played between 4 and 5 different formations through separate seasons as such, and then you actually see him change his whole formation in the middle of a game, which has happened quite often with Brentford. I think he's the sort of manager that will get the better out of the players because he will play with the cards he's got. Not necessarily how he wants to play. He'll play with the cards he's got to get the best out of them. Whereas you go back to Ange again, he didn't play with the cards he's got. He only wanted to play his way, and he wouldn't even check. He'll go all in all the time, and no wonder the man walks away with no money every time, basically. And this is where I think Frank is a much better coach in the way he's got choices himself of what formations he wants to use. And he will use the best formation to get the best out of the players, I think. He will get players playing in their sync at what they are best at, not what he wants them to play as such.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. It's like I'm saying because I'm not. I don't know what's going to happen this season. I think it might be a very difficult season, but I don't know how it works. But I do feel more calm with this manager because I do feel he will play with the cards he's got. He will coach the players with the time he's got as well. I think pre-season, I'm glad we've got him in now because he'll come in pre-season. He'll set the start straight away because he knows pre-season is going to be important, right? He'll have the players. He'll get the players that he agreed to, that the hierarchy and whoever's looking at the players will get in. And what I'm saying is at the moment is that I'm not looking for superstars. Again, I don't understand why people can't understand this. I really don't understand because I think we've got sensible people here, not you on the stream, but people in the chat should be sensible here. I'm not looking for superstars. I'm looking for people to say, if you can get Frank to work with them, you're competing for that starting place. And if that's a competitive squad, you know what I mean, over time, yes, we'll see maybe some times when we're not playing well at all and we might have some really bad results. We might do it. But over time, you might see the overall improvement of the squad because people are competing. You know what I mean? Like we had with Pochettino.
But we have to be realistic, Alex, right? We have to be realistic.
No, I'm being realistic here by
No,
saying
not
this.
you. I'm just saying, like, when I've got people like Alex saying, like, we should be fighting out for Gyökeres. I'm going to tell you right now, people, there is not a chance that Gyökeres wants to join Tottenham Hotspur. I can assure you right now, there is not a chance this man will want to join Tottenham Hotspur. We've just not a chance.
I don't know what people. I like you, Alex. I think you're very. I think you do speak very well.
He waffles. He does waffle a lot, Alex. Yeah, Alex.
I know, but he does sometimes. I do like him a little bit, but I don't really understand. Gyökeres, we've got no chance. I think we've got to stop. Like I said, I think the Europa League has really got people's wild imaginations going. I've got to be honest. You know what I mean? It's just like now we've got to win another trophy next season. I'm just like.
If you look at Alex, listen, I agree with a lot of what you just said. If you look at it logically, and you look at where we're coming from, our season next season could be like Poch's at Chelsea, where he got to grips with it in the first half and he had a much better second half of the season. And I can see that happening with Spurs. Frank's got to get them drilled. He's going to find out what his best 11, 14, 16 are. And it's going to take time. It's not a 5 minute. It's not a 5 minute thing. We've had chaos for 2 years, absolute chaos, and people mustn't let a great 90-minute match, evening in Bilbao, blind them to what's going on.
Ian, it wasn't even a great match. It was a terrible match. It was horrendous. The way we played was the worst ever. The only thing that was good was the result.
It was great because we won the trophy, Dan.
That was the only thing about it. The game itself was utter dog shit.
It was a great evening, let's say. And
that's a better way to put it, yeah.
Yeah, and people can't let their opinions get clouded because it's been chaos has reigned. And I said to you last month, didn't I, Stav? He'll be gone. I did say he'll be gone, and we'll look back in June at the last 2 years and think, great, honestly, I didn't expect to win the Europa because I genuinely thought when we got to the last four, honestly thought Bilbao would win it. I thought they'd beat United home and away and beat us in the final.
Sorry. Alex, sorry. Again, we're doing this thing. Alex. Again, you've been brainwashed into believing that Spurs can now just go and compete for any footballer we want to compete for. Well, first and foremost, have you seen what the sporting director has done? Have you guys seen what's happened with Gyökeres?
Yeah.
Right. So apparently they were going to let him go for 65 million and now they want like 100, right? First of all, Tottenham aren't spending 100 million pounds on a player, right? First of all, we're not, right? Second of all, I don't know what makes people think that a team that's finished 8th, 5th, 17th, suddenly someone like Gyökeres is going to turn around and go, you know what? That's it. That's it. That's where I want to go. I genuinely think we've lost our minds when we say things like this. This is why listen, I love Alex and we always have a bit of banter. But Alex, come on, dude. Like, It's like those people that were like, I can't believe that Daniel Levy didn't get Doué over PSG. It wasn't Daniel Levy that didn't get Doué. Doué wanted to go to PSG because PSG are bigger than us, win titles, and now I've gone on to win Champions Leagues. We've got to bring a little bit of reality back here. Why don't we start talking about players we can get? Why don't we look at Eze's? Why don't we look at Mbuemo's? Why don't we look at Semenyo's? Why don't we maybe look at Vlahovic of Juventus, who back 3 years ago I would have said had the world at his feet. Hasn't quite panned out, but I'd still take him at Tottenham. But instead we go, let's go for the player that's 100 million. Oh, it's our terrible wage structure. Well, sure, but was it our terrible wage structure why Kolo Muani turned us down? It wasn't, was it? He wanted to go Juventus. Was it the terrible wage structure why Tomori turned us down? No, it wasn't. We offered to pay 100% of his wages. Was it the terrible wage structure why Doué didn't come? No, we offered the exact same money as PSG. Sometimes I think people need to realise where we are. And if you want to, you've got to get back to that. Lubo, we have this chat. The time when we go for those types of players should have been when we were finishing second and third in the league table.
Gosh, absolutely. You know,
that's when you go, hey, look, we've been in the top 4 for the last 4 seasons. We're competing Champions League every year. Look at the stadium we've built. We've got Kane, Son, Toby, Jan, all of these in their prime. Come and join us. Not hi, Gokres, do you want to come and play with Brennan Johnson and Matisse Tell? Right? Like these people don't get it. It's madness. It's madness.
I think we've just got to have a little bit of patience.
Agreed.
Watch, and Frank will build the club back up. I've got every confidence. The guy knows what he's doing. He knows the Premier League inside out. He's a top coach. He's coached at international level. You know, he knows how to develop kids. You know, he coached at 5 different age groups for Denmark. So, you know, let's give him a chance. Let's just wait and see. I think everyone just wants everything now. Thank God. Let's just sit back. It's been chaos and bedlam for 2 years. Nice and calm. Let's just wait. And by the way, what's all this Ultra HD? I've got a tidy my office now, Sam. I mean, you know.
Mate, listen, it's my first time using this platform because StreamYard went down. And just quickly, before we move on, guys and girls, please do smash the subscribe button. We're only 20 away now from 18,500, which is a big milestone for me. I didn't ever think I'd get to 1,000. So if we can get 20 more of you, the link is in there. Bearing in mind, this isn't my normal streaming, but there is the link. I think there it is. Look, it says host. Oh, that's me. There you go, host. I am the host. There you go. There's the link. Also, please smash the like button, you tight gits. 521. We've had over 13,000 views so far on this show. We should have 1,000 likes. But guys, how long before the fan base go into meltdown if they don't see a signing? 2 days? A week?
I think the fan base have just got to sit back and relax. Just wait.
I don't think they're going to relax, Lubo.
They don't do that. I mean, how many of you seen going mental this week because we've taken less than a week to get Thomas Frank over the line? The people were losing their minds, blaming it on Levy because it's just what fans do, and it's just ridiculous.
It's
the thing that does it is the fact that we've already seen other teams go out and start buying players. Like what I said about Man U, them winning the Europa Cup was pretty irrelevant to them to an extent because they would still spend the money, get the wages, and also be able to attract the players. Yeah, Champions League would have been a big help to them, but it meant nothing to them compared to what it meant to us. And that is what has bugged a few people, me being one of them, is like, well, hang on, other people are already moving, getting players in, we're not. But then on the other side of it, we've been sorting everything out with a manager and also basically nicking all their coaching staff at the same time. I suppose you've got to weigh it out, haven't you? I mean, people said, why didn't he move quicker with Ange? Well, if he'd have dropped Ange the day after the Europa Cup, half the fan base would have absolutely psyched out over it and everything and that. So what I think Levy did was actually the right thing when I look at it. And that's give it 2 weeks so you can have the festival and everything else. Let everything calm down. Right, Ange, baked potato. See you later, mate. You're gone. This is the manager we're going for.
Decision
and
was
he's
made.
done it quite quick.
I'm hearing the decision was made 7-8 weeks ago now. I'm hearing that this was all done.
I think it was already.
Yeah,
I think he already had a plan in January where he didn't get rid of him.
I'll come in on that. I met an ex-player yesterday and had 2 hours just chatting. I'm not going to say who it is, just for his own.
Oh, was it Ginola?
It wasn't Ginola. We could do who it wasn't for quite a long time, but it wasn't Ginola.
If it ever is Ginola, can you please get like a little lock of his hair for me?
You need like a little card or something that I can give out to the players to try and get them on your show or something like a little business card, you know?
Yeah.
Anyway,
so
I'm not saying that this guy definitively knows, right? But obviously he's got a lot of connections. He told me yesterday that Ange knew he was out of a job by the end of January. That makes a lot of sense to me. I've never believed Ange's rewriting of "I gave the league up" because I don't think it makes sense. On that case, that's the only scenario in which it makes sense to me. If Ange knew he was gone, I can see why he would think, "Fuck the league, makes no difference to me. I'll just go after a bit of personal glory here and worry about the cup competitions." That would make sense. A lot of it sort of fits. I don't know if that's what that guy had done or whether
I agree. Chris, you know all these fans that said, "Oh, I reckon he sat down with Levy in January and told him that he was sacking off the league," and all these fans think that Daniel Levy just went, "Yeah, go on, mate. No, it's only £3 million. Don't worry, mate."
I reckon Levy did it. I reckon Levy basically told him not throw the games in the league, but make your priority the Europa Cup because it was the only chance we had a Champions League.
And that's not how Daniel Levy works.
He always wants top 4 for Champions League. He always wants the Champions League money and what comes with it and everything. Now, he knew that if we would have just focused purely on the league and everything else, Ange would have been lucky if he got us 12th, for God's sake. So he had an option of, I want that Champions League, come love nor money. And he had to make a decision for it. I'm not saying he blew the league out as in don't worry about it, but he told him to make priority of that Europa Cup.
That's not how Daniel Levy operates, man. Daniel Levy's never going to turn around someone and go, "Yeah, don't worry about it, the league." Like, it's just not.
But then think of it logically, Sava. Daniel Levy ain't going to say to someone, "Okay, I'm happy with you finishing 12th either." Yeah.
No, but Dan, as I've said to you, as I've said to you, everything I said 3 months ago has come true. Only one thing that I said that hasn't come true. Lubo, we've had this chat.
Johan Lan.
I said the moment he bought in Vinay, it now makes sense why he's not sacked Ange yet, because he is having a clean sweep in the summer. Whatever happens this year, that is good. And I said only one of these was wrong. I said that will be all the coaching staff going, the manager going, directors going, that will be Munn going, that will be. And I said Lang as well. So the only one that I've got wrong is Lang. And that
I agreed that in January.
I know, but Dan, that's the only thing that hasn't happened is Lang going, who's going to probably do the youth stuff.
Yeah, he had a plan. He had a plan, basically.
Sure, but just having that plan doesn't mean that Daniel Levy would have turned around to any manager and go, "Yeah, cool, I get it. I get why you're going to throw the league." No, I'm not
saying he said throw the league. I'm saying he said focus on the Europa Cup.
I'm not saying that this guy that I spoke to yesterday,
and Ange knew he was out of a job anyway, because it was he had the option of, do I keep Ange or do I get rid of Ange to win me that Europa Cup to get me Champions League? Champions League is what Levy has always wanted. Top 4 Champions
but Dan, hang on, just before I bring Chris in, but this is the point though. The point is anyone could have won that Champions League from the position we were in January. I truly believe that. But the whole point of why he didn't sack him is because they were having this clear out in the summer. Daniel Levy has been back. He
already had a plan.
Hang on. Daniel Levy has been back off holiday for 11 days. If I'm not wrong, sorry, 11 days. Yeah, 11 days since last Monday, right? He was back at Tottenham last Monday. Look at what this man has done in 11 days at Tottenham Hotspur, right? Every motherfucker's gone. Everyone has gone. He has, in that time, gone to Brentford and ripped out their entire coaching infrastructure. And yet our fan base going, typical Levy dragging his heels. He's just gone and taken a manager and 6 coaches.
I agree.
This man's just gone and got 7 people out of Brentford in a week. Right? And our fans are going, typical Levy. Typical Levy. Like, Well, isn't this the most untypical? Let me bring Chris in. Chris, this is the most untypical Levy thing ever. He's paid 7 million to Ange, 10 million to Brentford, right? Got rid of directors, and got to give him some credit, Chris. Surely, surely we can give this man credit for what he's doing right now, can't we?
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say it's important that I'm not saying that this is definitively the truth, right? But obviously, this guy is very well connected. And he told me that Levy was absolutely fucking furious with Ange. And yeah, basically everything that you've just said, Sava,
I can imagine.
That Levy was furious. He was absolutely done with him, told him that he wasn't going to stay by the end of January. But like you said, was going to do it all in the summer. Apparently everything was done, ready to be announced the day after the final. But because we won, it was just Levy just decided that we need to take some time just to let the whole euphoria die down a little bit. So,
which was the right move, wasn't it?
I'm not saying that's definitively correct. I'm just telling you this is what I was told.
But Chris, this is what we were thinking, though. To be honest with you, because the thing is, though, it looked very ominous. You saw the rumours in March. You know what I mean? So it was ominous that the guy was going to go. It was just then because the fan base heard what he said, and I think he was just doing it tongue in cheek. Ange Postecoglou saying season 3 is going to be.
Yeah. At that stage. I don't blame him. If he knew he was already gone, why not? Just for the
exactly.
Right?
So he's just put full to the fire. That was it.
Yeah.
And then I think even us were like sitting there saying, but then I was sitting there thinking, how is it going to work with Prodigy? You know what I mean? Because like I say, I heard rumours that he was, Prodigy wanted him gone, told Daniel Levy should get rid of him in December. You know what I mean? Because he's doing the consultancy role anyway. You know what I mean? So, for me at the moment, I think that the whole thing now looks logical. What's happened now? You know what I mean? And I think now we can just move forward, just move forward at the moment. You see what I'm saying? But it looks like to me, this is why I think we felt very confident that we're going to win the Europa League at that time, because when we got Bodo Glink and all that stuff, you could see that he was keen to make sure his reputation was intact, wasn't it? The last manager. But moving forward now, I just think it's I don't think you've ever heard me feel very calm about a manager at the moment and the process at the moment, and that's all you're going to get from me at the moment, calm. Because I do feel that this is something moving forward that just hopefully he can use the time, because I think pre-season is going to be very, very important. So at least he can get us started with some of the players he's got already. But he definitely needs some players in. He definitely needs a little bit, a few players in to help out. But I mean, I'm going to be calm. But Ian, I think you need to just stop worrying about the fan base, because at the end of the day, the fan base
I don't give a shit about the fan base.
The fan base
Stop worrying.
The fan base will be the fan base. I've done this too many years. Sava, you've done it too many years as well.
Yeah.
You know exactly what the fan base is going to be like. It's never going to change on social media.
We love it. It's why we love it.
It's never going to be together. And I think if you're going to preach that, it's never going to happen, mate. It's never.
I feel the same as you, but I'm calm. But I'll add to that after the last, where are we now? June, season started 10 months ago. I'm actually mentally drained with it all.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I absolutely agree.
Ian, I was again. That's exactly how I was by January, February. That we didn't get rid of Ange in January. I'd already cut the league off to an extent that I just saw us going further down. I just don't think Levy actually thought that Ange would drag us down to 17th. I still believe he said, focus on that Europa Cup because I want that Champions League. But I don't think he thought Ange was that bad that he'd get us 17th.
I think they got a shock. I think he got a serious shock when he saw
I agree.
Down at
that Brighton game. That Brighton game.
And this is what I mean. Not throw the league as in don't care about it, but focus on that Europa Cup to get me Champions League. Do what you can in the league and that. And I just don't believe that he actually sat there and thought that Ange was that much of a shit manager that he would drag us down to 17th and nearly get us relegated.
But I think that Brighton game. I think that Brighton game was just that was enough. That was enough.
Well, I've got to tell you, Alex,
I don't think it was the Brighton game. I think this was a long time ago.
I know, no,
A
but
long time ago.
that just ticked it all off. Really, that just ticked it all off. Because
I
yes,
must say, Alec,
you know,
first half, at half time against Brighton, I remember texting you, Dan. I just, we were 1-0 up. We'd had a good first half. What I didn't know at the time, which I found out from someone as I was walking out the ground at the final whistle, was that Spurs had put on a big party for the players and officials on the Friday night in Mayfair. And they were probably out drinking, getting pissed till 2-3 in the morning. So, sort of 48 hours later, they're on the, or 36 hours later, they're on the pitch playing against Brighton. So what do you expect? They ran out of steam second half. They, they've been partying and celebrating.
That's how they've played all season. That's how they played all season. That wasn't a drunk performance.
It wasn't a surprise. It wasn't a surprise. There was no motivation. They won the league. They were seeing out the last game of the season. What difference? So we're going to finish.
Lubo, it was the exact same performance as every game this season. Spurs grab a goal. By the way, Spurs didn't play well in that game, Lubo, in the first half.
I thought first half we did okay. I thought first half we were okay.
God, we were awful. Anyway, either way.
We lost the second half 4-0, didn't we? So it's
look, either way, that game. Look, I don't think that's the game that made the decision. I've been told it was done.
No,
I was told it was months ago that the decision had been made, and that
I agree.
By that stage, there's no point in sacking him, because what are you achieving by sacking him at that stage? But for all the people that did love Ange, I've never known a fan base just sweep so many defeats under the rug. And it wasn't even like, when people go, it was a one-off. Well, hang on. It went all the way back to November 2023. People are making out like it was from August 2024. It wasn't. It was a year earlier. So listen, I think we all knew he had to go. He has gone. And now I'm just hoping that people will not expect miracles. My worry with this fan base now is, first of all, the ones that do like Ange, didn't want him to go, are going to blame, almost put their frustration and vent their anger at Frank when it's not him at all. But secondly is that Thomas Frank, as much as I like him as a manager, isn't going to win 8 and draw 2 of his first 10 games. No. He's not. Let's be fair. It's such an anomaly for anyone to do it. My worry is that we're going to get that, aren't we? After 10 games, people are going to he's got 18 points from his first 10 games. Ange had 26.
Of course.
It's going to get
how
silly.
many of this fan base have been grilling for a year and a half of people being negative, that it doesn't matter what, you get behind your manager, this and that. Now all of a sudden they've lost their little honey bunny. Now all of a sudden it's the next person, I'll see you next Tuesday, basically, and I ain't even going to look at you twice and support you. And well, hang on a minute, you've just been preaching at us for 12 months that we're all toxic negative, and it's our fault that Ange got the sack. It's Sava's fault that we finished 17th in the league. It's Alex's fault that we don't buy anyone decent. And now all of a sudden, oh no, I ain't even looking at this manager. He's crap. I don't want to get behind him. To me, that's just showed how much of a bunch of Ange-sexuals we actually had at the club.
Well, you know what,
and that's where the next thing quickly comes to me. The next protest for me is going to be very interesting, because a lot of these protests, with what I've seen of way people have reacted, I think was BS anyway. I think a lot of the protests wasn't there for Levy out. I think a lot of the protesters were actually there for Ange out because of where we were doing in the league. Now where we're going to see is what happens with the next protests. Are you actually going to have the people who are Ange in now take over from the people that were Ange out? Or are people just going to back off and you're going to see 300 people turn up? That is what I'm interested in.
What
How's
are they
that going to
protesting
change
now,
things?
Dan, what? And Lubo's a protester as well. So
I've been there as well.
Yeah, no. I know. I'm just saying. Yeah, but the difference is, Dan, if I mention Daniel Levy's name, you don't go bright red and want to start throwing grenades at me. If I mention Daniel Levy's name, Lubo sits up and goes, "Let me tell you about Daniel Levy."
No. Hang on, son. Did you get that 50 quid, Sav?
He paid it. It's the British Heart Foundation. Yeah. Someone bet us yesterday, guys, that if Lubo could go a whole stream without saying anything negative about Levy, that he'd donate £50 to the British Heart Foundation. So fair play to Rob for that one. But guys,
I thought it was fair play to me, actually.
Fair play to Lubo as well.
Especially
when
the fact you didn't bite when I said you look like his older brother.
I agree with you.
The thing is as well, I saw people talking about it in the chat earlier. By the way, thank you to everyone who's been in here tonight. I'm just looking at my stats in my StreamYard studio. No, I'm not in my YouTube studio, and the number of messages is in the 10,000s. That is just absolutely relentless. You're right, Dan. I kind of felt towards the end that people weren't frustrated at Levy anymore. Not everyone, by the way. I felt like a lot of people were very frustrated at Ange. And the problem that you've got now is Ange has gone, right? By the way, they're just putting up Frank at Brentford, his spending comparison compared to Postecoglou at Spurs. And the difference over, Ange had 2 years, Frank's had 7 is frightening. Anyway, what are they protesting now? We've won a European trophy. Daniel Levy's acted decisively this window in terms of directors and managers and coaches. If he gets an Mbeumo or a Semenyo, maybe a Grealish, maybe a Pauline, I don't know. I'm just name. What are people protesting, guys? What is there? What is the narrative going to be? Just devil's advocate. Just devil's advocate.
Depends the players, sir. Depends.
One way.
Players.
One way you can look at this, yeah.
Hang on, Dan. I want Lubo's. Yeah. What do you mean by that?
Depends if he goes out and he gets the right players for Frank. If he buys the players, if he closes the deals, because at the moment you're looking at it, and he's gone from being chairman of a club who hadn't won a trophy for 17 years, and within 14 days he's pissed off half the fan base. So. Only he could do that. So he has actually Levy has kick-started change for Tottenham's protest.
But I'm asking, I want to go back to something that was said earlier in the show. When we say it depends on what players he goes out and gets, what if Thomas Frank says, I want Nathan Collins from Brentford, I want Semenyo from Bournemouth. What if we go and get these players and then our fans go, Levy screwed another manager? But what if they're the players that he wants? And we're all just as fans going, they're not good enough. So what would we be protesting against? What a chairman that's actually done what we've asked them to do.
This is the point again. It's every player that played well, or at least played well for a bit, or seemed out like a good buy. Oh, yeah, that was definitely Ange. Ange got that. Ange got Van der Ven. Well done, mate. Yeah. Ange got Vicario. Yeah. And he picked Maddison. Yeah. And then, as soon as it don't go right, it changes over to the Levy side. Oh, no, Levy screwed this up. This was totally down to Levy. This was a club buy. This was it. We don't know who's a club buy and who isn't. We don't know how much say they have in it. But when the manager's sitting there also preaching that I'm the one who has the final say on it or whatever, it makes you think both sides. We don't actually know what goes on. But the fact that he accepted Werner for the second time says a lot for me. And no matter what Levy does, he's a wrong un. One way or another, the fella's going to get stick. Like with getting rid of Ange, he was in a catch-22. Not that he actually cared, because half the fan base was still going to be against him for getting rid of Ange, because Ange got us the Europa Cup, even though he was that shit, he nearly got us relegated. And he's going to satisfy half the fan base as such by actually doing something, actually moving properly and doing what is right for football. But one way or another, Levy is always going to copy it. And the last bit on it, I think you can relate Levy to Ange in the way. Ange was that shit for me that 90 minutes of football did not change my mind about him. Whereas I'd say for a matter of a couple of weeks, it flipped 80% of the fan base that now Ange has to stay because of 90 minutes, even though they were a terrible 90 minutes. We got a cup out of it. Now we go on to morals and what is morally correct and what should be. I don't give a shit. It's a dog eat dog world. Deal with it if you want to get to the top. Levy doing these past couple of things, standing by the manager, giving what the fans have asked for, everything else, and then doing what is right for football, is not going to change the past 22, 23 years of him. He's never going to lose that. Same as Spurs are never going to lose the name Spursy. If we go and win a trophy for the next 5 years and then screwed 6-1 up, we're still going to get it was a Spursy moment. Mud sticks. It don't disappear. People don't forget the bad. They only forget the good.
Yeah, I can hear it. I hear that. Definitely.
Mud sticks. That's the problem. You can have a great 2-3 seasons, but then you go and screw it up. Another example, Son. He's been great for us, 10 years, whatever. He's won a trophy. I'm over for the moon for him. But he's always going to have that mud on his back now of like, we should have sold him 2 years earlier, though, really. Lores, good goalkeeper for us, everything. But what do people always say at the end of it? Should have got rid of him 3 years earlier, really, because he overstayed his welcome as such. Once you've got that mud on your back, you can't get rid of it, even if you're great after that. You will always have that mud on your back. You never lose it. Same as Spurs with Spursy.
I think we should be getting rid of because I've seen a lot about Son being querying whether he's going to stay or not. I think Son should go. I think Son should go. I wish Davis would have gone as well, to be honest with you, and things like that as well. I think we're keeping these players morally, to be honest with you. So I can see what you're saying. I don't think we should be doing things on morals. I don't think anything is on morals in life anyway. There's not really anything morals in life anyway, as a whole anyway. So I don't know why people try and make it out that football is morally right. You know what I mean? I don't think that's right at all, really. So yeah, I just think at the moment, I like I say, I think we just need to move forward. And I'm not saying everybody should move forward if they feel the way they feel. They feel the way they feel about the manager. They'll come on board naturally if they see what they see. But I do feel very, very calm, and this is the first time I felt calm about something in a long, long time.
But a lot of people, Alex, were saying that Ange deserves to stay because he won us something, basically. Ange deserves to stay. They were being morally correct, basically. And then they're saying, I'll give him 10 games. Okay, so you're willing to totally screw up the next season just because of what is morally, politically, what he deserves or whatever and that. Bollocks to it. It's dog eat dog world. If you ain't good enough, I don't care if you've been great for 9 years. If you ain't good enough now, you're gone. That is how a big club works. That is how a real club works.
It is.
And I just feel this fan base is too sentimental, too morally correct, and too emotional over a lot of things. I don't care if I like the player or not. I don't support Son FC. I don't support Ange FC. I don't support Kane FC or Romero FC. I don't care what they get up to in their private lives, whether they want to be a unicorn or a lamppost. I couldn't give a toss. As long as they play well on the pitch, that is all I care about. Get on with it. The minute they ain't good enough on the pitch or good enough to be manager, you're gone. See you later. I want better. And a lot of fans are just too sentimental.
I think that's never going to change, though, Dan. That will never change, unfortunately. This is the thing. I like it because then I love to debate them. You know what I mean? But like I say, I don't think that's ever going to change. I think we just need to embrace it, right? I think we need to embrace the fact that there's going to be people out there that are going to feel the way they feel. All I'm saying is at the moment, I just think, it is going to be a bit of a bumpy ride. You're going to see people that are going to react and say, Thomas Frank out. They're going to say it. They will say it. If we don't do well, it's just going to happen. It will happen, right? They will try and find faults in the manager. That is just how it is with the fan base at the moment, right? And then I just think, unfortunately, I think we're just going to have to just accept that fact and then see how it goes. And Frank will have to prove himself. Unfortunately, that's just the way it goes now. You know what I mean? Just the way it is. I just want to see.
So can I ask though? Like, Frank needs to prove himself. I'm just still very much stuck on this. Whether or not fans are going to just blame every signing on Levy. Like, we were in a very interesting conversation the other day about Nathan Collins. And I'm just using him as an example. By the way, I know what happens if you bring up any player. Apparently, it then becomes Sava's #1 target for the transfer window. I'm just using him as an example of a player that Thomas Frank has brought into Brentford. He's done a brilliant job. He's not missed a single minute of football. Don't know if anyone saw this. He's not missed a single minute of football. He's done a really good job. Frank rates him highly. There's lots of talk that Frank will want to bring him with him. And straight away, I get loads of people that are going, oh, what a shit signing. Now, straight away, my first thought is this. Right? I go into, Lubo, you know me. I go into a lot of detail of my football. Yeah? If I don't know something, I'm going to find out about that player. I'm going to go and watch them. A lot of people just say things like, Collins, what a shit signing that would be. Right? These are the same fans that would say, I'd love to go and get Jared Branthwaite. And if you actually put them side by side, Collins has actually done better than Branthwaite on nearly every metric, right? So it's perception. But my point in all of this, Lubo, is if we went and signed Nathan Collins tomorrow, our fans would have a shit fit rather than thinking, hang on, that's who the manager wants. That's the problem, surely, that Levy and Frank and this fan base have got now, is no one believes is the player wanted by the manager, or are they a club signing?
I'd simplify what you just said without the last part. If fans are working all different jobs, but they don't work in football, with vast majority of them. So a fan thinks they know better than somebody who is a professional that does this for a living. And I think each fan, if you're working in an industry and a footballer turned around to you and started criticising you, what would you say? You'd turn around and say, hang on a second, I've been in this industry a few years. You don't even work in this industry. What gives you the right to tell me? And I think reverse it. Who are we as fans to tell Frank if he's got a plan? Who are we to tell him that his plan is wrong? We're not at his level. We're just fans.
Yeah, but my point was that they'll blame that on Levy. If we went out and bought, I'm just using it as an example. If we went out and bought Nathan Collins, people would turn around and go, oh, shit signing. You know why? Not a sexy name, not going to sell shirts. Again, coming from Brentford.
What they should be saying is, look, what they should be asking is why he's bought Nathan Collins from Brentford. What's the thinking behind it? That's the first thing you should be thinking, because you're showing an interest in your manager and the player that he's brought into the club. Not, oh, he's shit, it could be this, could be that. You know what? You're just a fan. He knows what he's doing. You've got to trust that he knows what he's doing.
I think people are always going to have this issue of Levy. Like I said, I've kind of softened my stance on it a little bit now because of the fact that I think he's done something that he's never done before, bringing the manager so quickly after sacking the manager, and it looks like he had a plan. You know what I mean?
I must say, Alex, Mourinho's Poch left on the 19th of November.
Oh yeah, fair point. Fair point.
Jose was announced a day later, so.
Oh, fair point. A fair point.
He didn't have to get Jose out of anywhere, did he?
Yeah.
No, he didn't, and he was meeting with Jose 2 weeks in the Dorchester, I think it was. I was told 2 weeks before Poch got sacked.
But in saying that though, I think he could have done that a little bit too late with Poch. I've got to be honest. But with what he's done so far, right? I have to give him credit, right? That he got in a manager and he's done it within a week. And I think a lot of people are listen. I don't want to get into this whole thing anyway because I don't want to having a go at people because at the end of the day I've got to respect people's stance on it because they've been like this for a long time, like myself. But I'm just saying at the moment, I don't think they will always have an issue with Levy. We'll always have an issue with Levy because no one's going to really change on that stance.
Yeah,
but
that muddy's never going to go.
Exactly, it's never going to go. But I think at the moment, right? I think you can't have a go at Levy.
No. Listen,
Yeah.
They won the league. They won the trophy. They had the parade. He went away for a week, 10 days. He let the dust settle, took the emotion out of it, came back, and did what he should have done. God knows, 8 months ago, before the November international break. But he's done it, and he's moved on, and he's got Frank. And for me, and he's taken a few days to negotiate Frank's backroom team. I think it's only Forsab that he's bringing with him. Norgard isn't on that list.
What's this space? What's this? Just what's this space on that one? I've heard they're all coming.
Okay, someone's come from Man United. I read.
Yeah, that's what's his name? Georgeson,
Like
is it?
Yeah.
The set piece coach. So I just want to. Chris was trying to say something, I think, but he's too polite and he's not versed in the YouTube ways of butting in. So I'll butt in for you, Chris. Go on.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was on Nathan Collins. I was listening to a Brentford podcast the other day, and they just said, talking amongst themselves about who might leave, and they said, look, Mbeumo can go, it's fine, as long as Spurs don't come for Nathan Collins. That was literally what they said. So,
look, but again, this is the problem. Alex is now so Levy out. Look at it. Collins is good for Brentford. The amount of mistakes I've seen the bloke commit isn't coachable. The amount of mistakes I've seen Christian Romero make. No? But when we're saying isn't coachable, Alex, and I'm going to say something that's going to sound really rude. When people say things like that, I can tell you have never, ever coached football in your life, worked in football, spoken to proper football people. Saying that is not coachable is absolutely laughable. Of course it's coachable. That's what coaches do. What isn't coachable, I can't suddenly make somebody like Brennan Johnson have Ronaldinho's skill. I can't coach that skill into someone, but you can limit mistakes. You can coach them to not give the ball away. All of these things. Come on, man. You can't. Collins is good for Brentford. This is what, guys, I think for me, as I've said, I like Alex. He's a nice guy, right? But these sort of takes are exactly where the arrogance of Tottenham fans. Collins is good. Okay, so what about Mbeumo? Is Mbeumo just good for Brentford? When they sold Ivan Toney, was Ivan Toney just good for Brentford? David Raya, Ollie Watkins was just good for Brentford, went to Aston Villa and is now their all-time Premier League top goal scorer, right? Like, can't we do this to everyone? Morgan Rogers was just good for Middlesbrough. Like, this is mad.
Can we just wait and see how players perform at Spurs?
But by the way, Lubo, I don't know if you know or not, you might do. That guy who came from United was at Brentford with Thomas Frank, and he left then to go to Arsenal and then ended up at United. So they've worked together before.
Well, look how well he did at Arsenal. I mean, it's just,
Well, I don't know whether he wasn't there that long, so I'm not sure whether that season he was there, whether they were any good or not.
I mean, the set piece coach we got, it says here, what's his name? Andreas. I'm trying to say, it's saying he basically, Amarim wanted to keep him, kept him for a bit basically, but then he decided to leave in May basically, and now he's come over to Spurs along with an ex-Arsenal coach and 3 others.
I mean,
it's saying here that we've brought in 5 coaches with Frank.
I mean, speculation, Dan, but it's entirely possible by May that Thomas Frank probably knew he was going to be here and approached that guy.
Yeah,
want to come and join me at Spurs. So
I can believe that. I think this Levy had a plan from round about January, and obviously not necessarily knowing the coaches he was going to bring in and that. Speaking to Frank when he did, whether it was 6 months ago, 3 months ago, whatever, I think Levy had that plan for that big clear out, like Sava says. And I think Frank basically put down a list of like, right, if I'm coming to you, the only way I'm coming to you on a 3-year contract, because that's what he's saying he's got, is I want A, B, C, D, E with me, and that's the way I'm going to do it. And Levy's gone and done it. And that's why we lost out on a couple of other managers we could have got, because he refused to do the coaching staff. But I think Levy realised that this coaching staff was so shit as well, because most of them couldn't even hold a job in bloody Scotland, along with a manager, has actually known he's got to clear the system out, basically, before he starts on the players.
He didn't want any of them, Dan.
No,
All the guys he had at Tottenham, I think Mason's been there for years.
No, that's not what I'm saying, Ian. I'm saying like the Ange came over here. We know he didn't have any coaches, but the coaches that got brought in for him were bloody 2-tier coaches that couldn't even hold a job in Scotland.
Okay.
And you know, three of them he brought over. I can't even bloody remember what team it was, and they just was not Premier League standard.
That Georgeson, by the way, just having a look at his career. So he was at Brentford 1920. He left to go to Arsenal to work for Arteta. Right? So he's got to be doing something right, you'd assume. He left Arsenal to go to Malmo, but that was to go to be a manager and he became sporting director there. So you can see why he's left. He didn't leave because he was crap. He's then ended up via a couple of other teams back because under Amorim, and from what Dan's saying, Amorim wants to keep him. So with all of that stuff, Amorim rates him, Frank rates him, Arteta rates him.
Yeah.
Hopefully he must be doing something right.
Yeah, I agree. And we didn't have a set-piece coach anyway, did we?
Yeah. So he's got a very low bar to improve. We were shit.
Exactly. When we did have a set-piece coach, we actually looked all right. And you could definitely see that we didn't have one. Same as by the look of it, we didn't even have a defensive coach in there, basically.
Bearing in mind what's gone on the last 2 years, everyone should just sit back and think, do you know what? We've had enough of chaos. It's all calm down. Let's just enjoy the summer. Let's see who Spurs bring in. And, you know, in a few weeks' time, when we've got our first, what are we now, 6-7 weeks away from the first pre-season friendly. Enjoy it now.
I agree, Lubo. I just know what I know this fan base to a T. I know this fan base, and if the first signing that comes in isn't someone that they want, as opposed to someone that Frank wants, it will go back into meltdown. Look how,
like if we sign Tell, basically.
Like now. So I have to swallow what I've said, right? I don't want Tell at this football club.
Neither do I.
If Frank is okaying that, coach him. If Frank is okaying that, coach him. Get the best out of him. Fine. Solanke, I don't want Solanke up front, but if Frank gets the best out of Solanke, I'll turn around and go, brilliant. I think there's this notion that if you don't like a player, or if you don't rate a player, we should say, that you never want them to do well. I don't rate Solanke. Oh, so apparently it means I don't want him to score in every game he plays in next season. What? I'm not that bothered, like, by my opinion of being wrong. I could quite happily sit here and go, oh, Solanke got 30 league goals next season. Oh, what did I know? That's what a coach is here to do. But you've got to let him coach. He's got to be allowed to coach. If he brings in players he thinks he can, then I'm all for it. The people poo-pooing all these players already that haven't even joined us, right? Would they have taken Visser and Buemo, Damsgaard, Norgard, Janelt, Rico Henry, Keane Lewis Potter, who's been sort of transformed from a left-sided forward to like a left wing back? Like all of these people, that's what coaches do, right? We use Poch as the example. Walker and Rose did nothing before he arrived, right? Dembele was an average signing from Fulham, right? Dele Alli was a kid. Kane was a kid. Ericsson was okay before he arrived. Son, nothing. This guy arrives and suddenly we look great. Like, so, you know, I'm happy. I'm happy with it, guys. I think this is a good guy. He's a guy that I can get behind. I already love watching all his videos about coaching and his tactical masterclass. I think if anyone hasn't, go and watch them. You will change your mind on it.
They're good. They're good.
He's brilliant. Brilliant. Hey, it is what it is. Guys, unless anyone's got anything else to say, I'm going to do some super chats. And then we will skedaddle, unless anyone's got anything really pressing they'd like to add on what is a very good day for Tottenham Hotspur.
Very good. No,
I'll read the
great.
super chats. Have a think. Big up to Mario. I love it here. I love it that it doesn't show the picture. Winking face. These are descriptors, by the way, for anyone that's just joined. Descriptors. Winking face. Big up to you, Marios. Really appreciate you, my friend, out there in Cyprus. Kia Horpan, my man, out there in Texas, if I'm not wrong. It's worrying that I remember where everyone lives. Thanks for your consistent point of view. Consistency, bitches. Consistency. I never wavered from wanting a coach, and I never wavered from wanting this manager out. Very excited of Frank. Let us move on and start watching some proper football. Come on, you Spurs. Bang on, Kia. Hope you're well, my man. Always nice to hear from you. Thank you very much. Ryan Trustain said, Alex, what would be... Oh, God, this good. I'll do this one last because it's a question. I'll come back to that, Ryan. Big up to a user, always very generous. Said to the people who say Frank out if he don't win a trophy when he comes. Well, under Ange, it was like playing a fruit machine. Lose a lot to win some. Listen, it's a user. At the end of the day, if we're going to hold, imagine we say that every manager that comes to Spurs have to win in their first season or be sacked. We would have a different manager every year. Like it would be madness. But listen, I really do hope Frank wins a trophy now to shut a few people up. But it's going to be tough. He doesn't have the Europa to fall back on. He's got proper trophies to fall back on.
That's exactly the same, Sava, as the analogy I sent to you the other day, right? The betting one where under Ange, it's like you put a fiver on every week. You're 500 quid down. Then you get one come in that wins you 100 quid back and you're super excited about it. Oh, my God, I'm a winner. Now you're 400 quid down, mate.
Yeah. He's like that one mate. You go out every weekend for a year and he can't pull for shit. Pulls a girl on one night out and suddenly thinks he's Romeo. So it is what it is. Ryan, big up, very generous. 10 GBP, very generous indeed. Said, Alex, this is for you, Alex. What would be a good season for you and how far can we go in the cups? I'm going to say 10th and a cup, and I'm Frank in Sava. Much love. Eze in as well. I mean, it's a bit harsh, isn't it, already to say he has to win a cup before you're Frank in. But, Alex, specifically for you, my friend, how far can we go in the cups? Big up, Ryan.
You're on mute, Alex.
Right. I don't know how far we're going to be in the cups, but I think respectably, 8th or like in the top 10 at the moment. I think that's a good season for us. Well, it's an okay season at the moment for us. I don't think I can really have a big expectation right now because I don't know how. Because I think there's a lot of coaching that Frank needs to do with this team at the moment, and with the time frames that we've got at the moment, I just don't see it's just not going to happen straight away. I think there's going to be a lot more teams that are going to be well ahead of us because they're more settled, if you know what I'm saying, at the moment. But I'm willing to be changed to see what he does in the first season. But yeah, I think top 10 at the moment because we finished 17th in the league, so I don't see being a dramatic.
Yeah.
Getting into top 6 or top 7 or top 4 or anything like that. I just don't see it, especially with Champions League at the moment. So I just don't see it. Just
quickly before we go, guys, at the risk of starting another conversation, which I'm just really about to do, isn't it dangerous? I mean, first of all, I think it's dangerous predicting league finishes when we're on the 12th of June and haven't started our transfer window yet. But secondly, I do think that already people that are going, 4th or 5th, and but it's like, have we just suddenly forgot all of the top teams that are above us and they are all strengthening? Like if we look at Liverpool, City, Arsenal, Chelsea are strengthening, Newcastle are going to strengthen, Villa will probably strengthen as well. There's a lot to catch up on. I've missed out Arsenal, let's say Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, United are by. So all of a sudden, I feel like anyone that's just going, 4th or 5th, I feel we've got to remember that there's a lot of work to do to catch up these teams, isn't there? There's a lot of work to do.
There's 8 teams, not including Forest. Brighton.
You know, we always do this about expectations based on where should we finish. And I know I say this all the time. Hopefully I'm at least consistent, which is my expectation and judgment of Frank is more based on how do I feel going to watch the game. I'm not really fussed. Do we finish 10th or 2nd? I want to go thinking we've got a chance and I'm going to watch a decent team. And mostly I don't want to go resenting the fact that I'm giving my time and money to go and watch Tottenham play, which I'm pretty sure me and Lubo for sure were doing that at times last season. Where we finish within that, there's so many variables. I just want to enjoy what I'm watching. That's what I'll be measuring.
Yeah,
I think if he gets to 7th with a good cup run, I think he's had a good season for a starter, considering that we was in a position where one lower down we would have got relegated. He isn't going to have a tier 2 Europa Cup to save his arse in the Champions League like Ange did. Whether people like to admit it or not, it is the tier 2 cup, and the League Cup was harder to win for Newcastle than the Europa Cup was for us. And not for Arsenal, for Newcastle, sorry, than it was for us. And I think if he gets 7th place, respectable in the Champions League, that we don't get absolutely humiliated like you'd think we would under Ange, and gets us a good cup run, I'll be happy with the season because I will see progress.
I agree. Listen, as I said, I'm going to say the same thing. I'm not going to give any predictions out until the end of until I see the summer. Imagine I predicted 5th now, we don't make any signings. I'd look like a right moron. What I am going to be doing, guys, and we are ending the show in a minute. What I am going to be doing is I'm going to be taking screenshots of all the people in my chat. When I do a final prediction show before the first game of the season, I'm going to be taking everybody's prediction. I'm going to keep receipts on every one of my viewers for when they give me shit throughout the season, for when they say stuff like, I didn't say we should finish 3rd. Here it is. Just letting you know, guys, thoroughly enjoyed it. In true Spursy fashion, StreamYard goes down 5 minutes before Spurs announce their brand new manager. Fair play to Perchy for finding this site. Fair play for me for really quickly giving them an email address and creating a new password and being allowed to stream for free. It was a tense 5-10 minutes, I'll tell you that. But we managed to get it going and wouldn't have it any other way. Sharing the screen with great characters. Lubo, Box Office, Chris, Danny, some wonderful people. Tell you what, people like you lot make me so glad I started YouTube. Wouldn't have known you guys otherwise. And
Manny and Nicholas, even though he waffles, Nicholas.
And Nick, and Manny.
What's that? Emerson Royal, Nick?
Yeah, he was on for about 4 minutes, I think.
Oh, have I missed him? What a shame.
4 minutes. Yeah,
not really.
Did any of you see this today? Just while we're here. Hang on, where is it? Someone sent me this. Right. The Emerson Royale is to star in Love Island. I really want it to be true. I don't know. I really want it to be true. But what I do know is this picture of Emerson Royal and his 6-pack will be a poster on Nick's wall within a week. I'm just putting it out there. I reckon that this poster is going to be on his wall.
Have it on his phone.
By the way, if anyone gets the chance, this is the video of Jermaine Defoe. Go out to HTV and watch Jermaine Defoe talking about Thomas Frank. It's a really good watch. Guys, much love. Take care. I'm tired. I've built a whole set of garden furniture, chairs, fire pit, everything today. I'm tired. Manual work. Sava's tired. Take care. Yeah. See you later. Let me work out how to end the stream on this bad boy. Where's the button? There it is. Take care, everyone. Guys, tomorrow I will be back in the morning. Not Stanley's got dog training tomorrow morning, so it will be at 11:15, having to work around the puppy. Take care. Much love. And as always, Danny K, Danny Kiriakou out, Lubo out, Danny in, Chris in, Box Office. See how he does this season. And Sava.
What?
What a goat. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.